ease and entrust the business to them. Zioyang, we are native locals, and all our connections are concentrated here. If the business really takes off, there will be quite a few relatives within 5 degrees of kinship. When these people unite, their strength is not to be underestimated. If it really comes to that, we can always come up with a good solution, so you don't need to worry about it. Uncle Chen Xian knew his nephew was taking precautions, but in his view, there is absolutely no need to worry about things that haven't happened yet. As the saying goes, there's always a way out. Moreover, this is just business competition, not some serious matter like murder or arson. If that day ever comes, he has plenty of ways to solve it. Yes, uncle, I understand. Chen Yang smiled and nodded, no longer dwelling on the topic. Next, Chen Yang asked his third uncle to personally prepare a hot pot soup base. Third uncle strictly followed Chen Yang's instructions, meticulously controlling every step and every step. Half an hour later, the hot pot broth is now ready. Everyone started eating the hot pot meat. Compared to Chen Yang's cooking, it was still quite delicious. At least it tastes much better than the soup base in those hot pot restaurants. Honey, I didn't expect you to be so talented at learning. You were able to replicate almost 70% of Zioyang's cooking skills after just one look. If you opened a shop with this soup base, the business would definitely be booming. Auntie looked at Uncle with a surprised and delighted expression, her eyes filled with a strange light. Don't praise me like that. It's mainly because Zio Yang taught me well. Besides, his hot pot soup base recipe is delicious, and with the well-made sauce, no matter what you cook in it, it will taste great. My third uncle is very self-aware. He knew perfectly well that it wasn't because of his exceptional skills. Everything is thanks to the secret recipe for the hot pot broth and dipping sauce. These two things are the core of whether a hot pot restaurant can become a huge success. Third aunt, Mom, you should all try making it too. Let me see what the problems are, and then I'll help you improve it. Chen Yang struck while the iron was hot and addressed the elders. Okay, we'll do whatever you say. Auntie's face lit up with joy. The morning passed quietly like that. My mother, Wu Yan, is the best at making hot pot broth and dipping sauce, followed by my third uncle, eldest aunt, and third aunt. In Chen Yang's opinion, everyone's soup base and dipping sauce were already considered acceptable. If it's out of 10, they can all achieve 7 or more. This skill level is more than enough to open a shop. Meanwhile, Chen Yang's lecturer skills experience points surged once again. Basic instructor skills, 2,500. Noon, Chen Yang personally cooked a delicious feast. Knife skills proficiency plus 500. Cooking skills proficiency plus 500. Advanced knife skills, 1,001,0000. Advanced culinary skills, 1,001,0000. Aunt, uncle, aunt, mother Wu Yan, Chen Yang, and Yi Qingya sat around the dining table, secretly swallowing as they looked at the delicious-looking food in front of them. Everyone stop standing there and let's eat. Chen Yang smiled calmly and spoke, and as soon as he finished speaking, the elders could no longer restrain themselves and picked up their chopsticks to eat. To be honest, ever since they ate Chen Yang's cooking, when they went back home and ate the food they cooked themselves, the difference was too great. Now that I have the chance to taste this delicious food again, I certainly won't be polite. A table full of delicious food was devoured by everyone. After the meal, Chen Yang packed up the hot pot broth and some ingredients, and asked his aunt, uncle, and aunt to take them home. 1:30 p.m. Yi Qingya went back to her room for a midday rest. Chen Yang then took his laptop to the study, preparing to continue his investment transactions. Host detected investing in Hong Kong stocks. The title of God of Investment is activated. God-level analytical and judgment abilities are manifesting. Bond Technology's latest stock price is 68.2 yuan, up 20%. Huahong Company's latest stock price is 110.5 yuan, an increase of 15%. Changyuan Energy's latest share price is 88 yuan, up 12%. With the help of the God of Investment, the system digitized all stock prices and presented them clearly to Chen Yang, allowing him to make more precise trading decisions. Furthermore, each fluctuation node was standardized. In this situation, Chen Yang's investment and trading were practically divinely aided. Using 500 million yuan, they made another 100 million yuan in just over 2 hours. Satisfied, Chen Yang shut down the computer and left the study for the living room. Seeing his girlfriend Yi Qingya and his mother Wu Yan sitting on the sofa watching TV, Chen Yang greeted them with a smile. He then suggested that he take them out for a drive. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. Under Chen Yangchao's leadership, Lai Qiang's construction team worked overtime. The hot pot restaurant was renovated very quickly. Chen Yang took his mother and Yi Qingye to inspect the site and was very satisfied with the layout and decoration. After confirming that there were no problems, Chen Yang transferred the money to Lai Qiang on the spot. Then they called back all the original staff who had worked at the hot pot restaurant, including the front desk staff, waiters, and chefs. Everyone, the hot pot restaurant will officially open for business tomorrow. So there are a few things I need to say beforehand. I don't like to make empty promises to my employees or talk about the future and development. I will pay you the amount of value you can create for me. Everything depends on the business of our hot pot restaurant. Of course, I won't treat you unfairly. Therefore, I've decided to increase your salaries by 20%. In addition, I will take a portion of the profits each month as your bonuses. Distribution according to work, more pay. Chen Yang stood above, his gaze sweeping over everyone. After a moment he spoke. Upon hearing this news, a hint of joy flashed across everyone's faces. After all, in small county towns, the wages of waiters and cooks are generally not high. As soon as Chen Yang took over, he raised their salaries and gave them bonuses every month. For them, this was like a windfall. For a moment, their eyes were filled with excitement and anticipation as they looked at Chen Yang. A boss like that deserves to be rich. Chapter 156, Shangsha, Grand Opening. The boss is so generous. Thank you, boss. Everyone spoke up to express their gratitude to Chen Yang. Chen Yang raised his hand and pressed down, and everyone immediately stopped shouting and stared at him. Tomorrow is the auspicious day for the grand opening of the hot pot restaurant. As long as you help promote it and post it on WeChat Moments, everyone will receive a big red envelope. In addition, anyone who can bring customers to our store will also receive a commission. The deadline is only 3 days before the opening, which is considered an internal benefit for my store's employees. In addition, the broth and dipping sauce at my beef and mutton hot pot restaurant have a unique secret recipe. This is our specialty and can't be matched by any other hot pot restaurant on the market. Chen Yang spoke directly in front of everyone. Don't worry, boss. I will definitely mobilize my WeChat Moments to attract customers for our hot pot restaurant's opening. Me too, my cousin's favorite food is beef hot pot. I messaged her and invited her to come to our restaurant. I'm sure she won't refuse. Most of my high school classmates work locally, and we often get together on weekends. One phone call from me, and they'll definitely be willing to come to our store to try it out. For a new store opening, as long as the food is good, it's the easiest way to attract new customers. Since the boss gave us a raise, I naturally can't leave without showing my appreciation. I'll use all my connections to help the boss attract customers. Everyone spoke excitedly, one after another. Seeing this, Chen Yang grinned, feeling pleased with himself. The county town is so small that if there's even the slightest disturbance, everyone in your social circle will know about it in less than half a day. As long as they are willing to patronize the store and eat there once, Chen Yang guarantees that they will definitely become loyal customers. After all, no foodie can resist the temptation of delicious food. Chen Yang has absolute confidence in his hot pot broth and dipping sauce recipes. Okay, then I'll leave it to everyone. Now you can go back and get some rest. Tomorrow morning at 9:30, our Shangshaij will officially open for business. Chen Yang smiled and said, relying solely on the promotion by the hot pot restaurant staff is definitely not enough. Chen Yang also plans to use his relatives and friends, as well as local social media and even online influencers for promotion. Even if it costs some money to advertise, we must make sure the news of the hot pot restaurant's opening is widely known. That afternoon, Chen Yang hired a lion dance troupe to promote Shangshaij on a relatively busy street in the county town. As a result, many locals know that a new beef and mutton hot pot restaurant has opened in the core business district of the county town. It is said that it was invested and opened by the top science student in Nanyang City a few years ago. The news spread like wildfire, quickly becoming a viral sensation in local social circles. The following morning, 9 o'clock, it wasn't mealtime yet, but the shops in the core commercial area of the county town were already gradually attracting a considerable number of people. The Chen family members gathered in front of the Shangxi Pavilion. Rows and rows of bouquets were placed at the entrance, making a grand and solemn occasion. Many of my uncles, fathers, and third uncles, who have known me for many years, were present at the event. These people are either related to the Chen family or have had close interactions with them. Everyone offered their sincerest blessings. Of course, they had another purpose for this trip, to witness Chen Yang's charisma. After all, those in the know understand. This shop was bought directly by Chen Shan's son, Chen Yang, the former top science student in Nanyang City, and invested in it so that the elders of the Chen family could manage it together. Everyone was curious about what this once promising young man from Nanyang City looked like now, and what heights did his achievements reach. With this question in mind, many people come here specifically to see it. That's why the scene was packed with people, and the liveliness far exceeded Chen Yang's expectations. Even Chen Yang himself was probably surprised that so many people still remembered his name after 4 years. People might even be curious about his decision to return to his hometown and invest in a hot pot restaurant. He himself became the focus of the entire event. Soon the auspicious time arrived. Chen Yang walked up to his father and uncle and said, "Dad, uncle, let the lion dance start and make the scene more lively. In a moment, we will unveil the plaque and wish the business a prosperous opening." Upon hearing this, Uncle Chen Zhang and Father Chen Shan nodded emphatically. After giving the order, the lion dance team immediately began to dance, and the cannons were set off. The atmosphere at the scene instantly reached its peak. Afterwards, the uncle and father pulled the red silk ribbon and unveiled the new signboard of the hot pot restaurant. Shangshaj. The 3 large characters, written in a vigorous and elegant style, are truly eye-catching. Chen Yang walked to the front and scanned the crowd. After a moment, he called out, "Shangshaj's new store is now open. We have exclusive hot pot soup bases and dipping sauce recipes with unique flavors. Just one bite will leave you wanting more. Get 12% off your purchase during the first 3 days of opening. Recharge 5,000 yuan to get a silver membership and enjoy a 15% discount. Recharge 50,000 yuan to get a gold membership and enjoy a 20% discount. Recharge 100,000 yuan to get a diamond membership and enjoy a 25% discount. Welcome all guests to dine at our restaurant. At Shangshaj, we will definitely use the best service, the freshest ingredients, and the most delicious taste to bring you a brand new culinary experience." As soon as Chen Yang finished speaking, he waved his hand. All the staff lined up in 2 rows, making a welcoming gesture. The scene looked truly impressive. Seeing this, many people became curious and strode inside. Upon entering the lobby, they were immediately drawn to the luxurious and innovative design. It felt like being in a high-end place, and I was deeply impressed. "How many guests are there?" Soon, a beautiful and graceful waitress came forward and greeted them warmly. "The 2 of you." The diners swallowed hard, looked away, and said, "This way, please, sir." The pretty waitress gestured for them to sit down at the table. Tea and side dishes were served shortly afterward. "Guest, our restaurant supports QR code ordering. You can take out your phone and scan the QR code to place your order. Our staff will bring up your ordered soup base and ingredients as soon as possible, ensuring you can enjoy the delicious food as quickly as possible." The customer nodded, and after a series of actions, the hourglass on the table was almost half full, and the hot pot broth and various fresh ingredients were brought to the table and placed on the electric stove. As the hot pot broth was heated, an indescribable aroma immediately filled the air. For a moment, the diners swallowed hard, their faces filled with disbelief. "Why does it smell so good? This hot pot broth seems different from what I've had at other hot pot restaurants before." The man asked his companion, "Didn't the owner just say that their hot pot restaurant has a unique secret recipe for the soup base and dipping sauce, guaranteeing deliciousness? It seems that this is not just a publicity stunt or exaggerated advertising." His companion smiled and replied, "Chapter 157, a delicious feast for the senses, a private banquet for distinguished guests." Soon, as the hot pot broth boils, guests put the ingredients they want into the hot pot to cook. I paired it with the pre-mixed dipping sauce and then put it in my mouth to eat. The meat is firm, tender, and delicious. In addition, there's the rich hot pot broth and the delicious dipping sauce. The entire tip of your tongue is enveloped in a fresh and fragrant flavor. This taste is absolutely amazing. Delicious, this hot pot is really delicious. Whether it's the quality of the beef, the hot pot broth, or the dipping sauce, everything is top-notch. When these 3 are combined, the taste and texture are simply divine. It's definitely better than any hot pot restaurant I've ever eaten at before. The diners stared wide-eyed, their faces filled with astonishment. This hot pot restaurant is amazing. This flavor is so delicious that you don't want to stop eating it. You just want to keep enjoying it until you're full. His companions quickly nodded in agreement. After all, he's a true foodie. He's tasted all sorts of delicacies, but this is the first time I've ever had such a delicious hot pot at Shangshage. This feeling is just so wonderful. The same scene. It also appeared on other dining tables. Anyone who has tasted Shangshage's hot pot broth and dipping sauces, whether made with beef, mutton, or other ingredients, will find the texture and flavor indescribable. As a result, the diners on site all turned into foodies, burying their heads in the food in front of them and eating voraciously with no time to chat. I was afraid that if I was even a step too slow, the meat and ingredients at the bottom of the pot would be devoured by my companions. Moreover, these guests had enormous appetites. Almost every table would order several more plates of meat, as if they were starving ghosts. Of course, this is understandable. After all, most of them had never eaten such delicious food in their entire lives. That's why it was hard to control my mouth for a moment. During mealtimes, the main hall of Shangshage was packed, and business was booming. Even the private rooms that Chen Yang had the renovation team set up were completely full. The waiters at the hot pot restaurant were busy serving dish after dish, sweating profusely. Before they could even catch their breath, the guests at the table started urging them to serve the food. The workload was many times greater than at the hot pot restaurant they used to work at. It wasn't until this moment that they realized that their new boss's salary and bonuses were anything but easy to earn. As business booms and the hot pot restaurant's revenue increases, their end-of-month bonuses will inevitably rise as well. The more you work, the more you earn. What the boss says is absolutely true. VIP room 888. Uncle Chen Zhang and Father Chen Shan personally received the guests. Among these people were leaders in the education sector, heads of relevant departments, and business owners. They were all prominent figures in the county. Distinguished leaders, today is the grand opening of my nephew Chen Yang's hot pot restaurant. He is busy taking care of the business outside, so he is unable to attend to you all at the moment. Therefore, I, his uncle, will offer him a toast on his behalf. I hope the leaders will take good care of me in the future. If there is anything I have done poorly or not done well enough, please give me your criticism and guidance. Uncle Chen Zhang had worked his way up in the system for many years, so he could easily come up with these kinds of polite phrases. He adopted a very humble attitude, while praising the leaders highly and giving them ample face. As he spoke, he used a wine cup to pour wine into the leader's glass, lowered the glass, and made a gesture of toasting. Principal Chen, you're too kind. I heard that your nephew Chen Yang was the top science student in Nanyang City in the college entrance examination. He scored over 700 points and was highly sought after by the admissions directors of Tsinghua University, Peking University, and Yenching University. But later, he chose to study at Shanghai University. Judging by the timeline, he shouldn't have graduated yet, right? How come he went back to his hometown and started his own hot pot restaurant? The person who spoke at this moment was Liu Han, the director of the Education Bureau. He was in charge of education, and because he was close to Chen Zhang, he remembered very clearly that Chen Zhang's nephew was an absolute genius and academic prodigy. Back then, he single-handedly made Linjiang County a well-known name in Nanyang City. This also had a certain impact on his personal political achievements. Knowing these inside details is what puzzled and intrigued Liu Han. What exactly caused Chen Yang, a genius student who was admitted to a university in Shanghai from Nanyang City, to give up the economically prosperous Shanghai and choose to return to this small county to open a hot pot restaurant? This is completely at odds with his image as a genius student. Director Liu, you have a really good memory. It's been almost 4 years. I never expected you would still remember that my nephew was the top science student in Nanyang City's college entrance examination that year. Chen Zhang first praised Liu Han. Then, changing the subject, he explained, Director Liu, to be honest, my nephew is a senior majoring in finance at Shanghai University. He has completed his graduation thesis and defense, and since he still has some time before leaving school, he brought his girlfriend home to visit his parents and us elders. According to him, he made some money through investment. That's why he wanted to go back to his hometown to buy some property and increase the income for his parents and elders so that they could live a more comfortable life. He and his friends used to run a hot pot restaurant in Shanghai, and the business was quite good. That's why he wanted to replicate the business model in our county. There are 2 main purposes for doing this. First, to allow our local people to enjoy better food, and second, to provide more job opportunities and increase the income of our hometown people. These words were spoken. Those at the table nodded in agreement. The evaluation of Chen Zhang, and his nephew immediately rose considerably. Principal Chen's nephew is indeed extraordinary. As expected of a prodigy from our hometown, his mindset and vision are indeed far superior to those of ordinary people. After hearing these words, a captain in charge of public security couldn't help but feel a deep respect for Chen Yang. Although the goal may be to make money, from the perspective of starting point, Chen Yang's resume and awareness make him seem more noble and impressive than ordinary businessmen. Captain Hu, you flatter me. In the future, I may need to trouble you in some ways. I'd like to offer you a toast separately, and I hope you'll take good care of me. Chen Zhang poured a full glass of wine, stood up, walked up to the leader and said respectfully, Of course, as long as the hot pot restaurant operates legally and in compliance with regulations, I will never refuse to help within my authority. Captain Hu smiled broadly and spoke in a slightly rough voice. Distinguished leaders, I am Chen Zhang's second younger brother, Chen Shan, and also Chen Yang's father. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to attend the opening of Shangshaj. On behalf of my son, I would like to propose a toast to all the leaders. Under Chen Zhang's constant hints, Chen Shan took a deep breath, then stood up and mustered his courage to flatter the leaders present. For a moment, a strange look flashed across the leaders' faces. Immediately, all eyes fell on Chen Shan, scrutinizing him closely. Chapter 158, Understanding the Ways of the World is True Learning. Being adept at human relationships is true literature. To be honest, everyone was wondering why there was a stranger sitting next to Chen Zhang. It wasn't until Chen Shan spoke up that they learned his true identity was Chen Zhang's younger brother. Moreover, he is the biological father of Chen Yang, the owner of this hot pot restaurant. Chen Shan looked unremarkable, but it was surprising to find out he had this identity. Mr. Chen, you're too kind. We are all good friends of Principal Chen, and we are here today in a private capacity. Speaking of which, we've come here to share in the joy. That's why they're called leaders. That's a very skillful way to put it. Moreover, it demonstrated extremely high emotional intelligence, making both parties feel very comfortable. Chen Shan smiled and quickly echoed, What the leader says is right. I'm not good with words, and I'm not good at explaining things in a logical way. The opening of this hot pot restaurant was entirely handled by my son. He is a young man, full of energy, and has a long-term vision. But because of his youth, he is still somewhat naive when it comes to the intricacies of business and interpersonal relationships. Therefore, please forgive us if there is anything we have done poorly, or if the leaders are dissatisfied with us. Chen Shan adopted a very humble attitude. After all, the other party was a leader in various departments in the county, and the power and connections he held were not something Chen Shan could afford to offend. Being cautious is never a bad thing. Inside the private room, Uncle Chen Zhang and Father Chen Shan accompanied the leaders, toasting and exchanging drinks, creating a lively atmosphere. However, after the leaders and several accompanying bosses personally tasted Shangshaj's hot pot broth and dipping sauce, their expressions changed drastically. Given their status, what delicacies haven't they tasted? But such a delicious hot pot broth and signature dipping sauce were definitely something they had never tasted before. This hot pot smells amazing. The beef, soaked in the broth and then coated with this dipping sauce, is so delicious that it's impossible to resist. Boss Chen, the soup base and dipping sauce recipes at Shangshaj are absolutely amazing. After finishing his first bite of hot pot beef, a boss in the stone industry looked at Chen Shan with excitement and said in an excited tone, That's absolutely right. The broth and dipping sauce of this hot pot are more delicious and flavorful than any other hot pot restaurant on the market. After tasting it, Liu Han immediately praised it highly. Not only him, but the other leaders also nodded in agreement and gave Chen Shan a thumbs up. In a short time, the people in the private room stopped exchanging pleasantries and without hesitation, transformed into foodies and began to feast. He ate with such gusto that his face was flushed and his mouth was dripping with oil. The waiter kept adding dishes and soup base, making several trips in a row. About 15 minutes later, the door to the private room was pushed open. Chen Yang and Yi Qingye walked in slowly, each holding a drink. Dad, uncle. Chen Yang took the initiative to greet his father Chen Shan and his uncle Chen Zhang. Then he calmly looked at the rest of the group. While Chen Yang was sizing them up, the group of leaders and bosses were also sizing him up. However, they noticed that Chen Yang and Yi Qingye appeared to be quite young. But the clothes they were wearing, combined with the aura they exuded, made them dare not show the slightest contempt. After all, Chen Yang was the top science student in Nanyang City's college entrance examination. He studied at a university in Shanghai for a few years and made his first fortune by investing in the financial market. That's why he specially returned to his hometown in the county to open this hot pot restaurant, putting aside his extravagant purchase of shops in this prime location. The secret recipes for hot pot soup bases and dipping sauces alone are worth at least a fortune. But Chen Yang could produce it so easily. This alone is enough to show that he is no ordinary person. Xiao Yang, you've come at just the right time. Let me introduce you. This is Captain Hu of our county's Public Security Brigade. This is Director Wang of our Hedong Town Police Station. And this is Director Liu of the County Education Bureau. When Chen Yang entered the private room, Uncle Chen Zhang quickly got up, pulled him aside, and introduced the identities of the leaders in the room one by one. After that came several business owners. Dear leaders and bosses, hello, my name is Chen Yang. I am fortunate to have met you all thanks to my uncle's help. At the same time, I would also like to express my sincere gratitude to everyone for taking time out of your busy schedules to attend the grand opening of Shangshaj. I'm not just bragging, but our hot pot restaurant's soup base and dipping sauce recipes are unique, even in the entire Nanyang city. Therefore, to express our gratitude to the leaders and bosses for their care, today's meal is not only on the house, but on behalf of Shangshaj, I will also present each senior with a silver membership card worth 5,000 yuan. We hope that leaders and bosses will bring their families and friends to Shangshaj more often in the future. Chen Yang remained calm and composed, his expression neither humble nor arrogant. After a slight smile appeared on his lips, he spoke to everyone. There were more than a dozen VIPs in the private room. These people are all prominent figures in the local area, so naturally they wouldn't be unable to afford a mere meal. However, Chen Yang's behavior showed them respect. His attitude undoubtedly earned him unanimous praise from everyone present. They could tell that this top scholar was not a bookworm at all, but rather someone who was adept at understanding human relationships and social interactions. Talented and emotionally intelligent people will thrive wherever they go. Mr. Chen, you're too kind. What kind of behavior is it to eat and take things at the same time? Later, process a few gold membership cards for me. It will be convenient for me to give gifts to people later. Get me a few tickets too. Just for the delicious food at Shangshaj, I'll only come here for hot pot from now on. Mr. Zhang is right. Shangshaj is top-notch in our county, whether it's the decor, the hot pot, or the service. It will be the best choice for entertaining clients or having family and children here in the future. The bosses were very generous and had plenty of money. In addition, Chen Yang was good at handling things, and his words just now really resonated with them. So they reciprocated by buying several gold membership cards at their own expense to give as gifts to others, or to their relatives and friends. Thank you all for your generosity, but since I said I would give it away, I naturally cannot accept your money. I'll explain this to the store manager later. Chen Yang shook his head and chuckled, then said, Principal Chen, you have a wonderful nephew. Not only is he academically excellent, but he is also handsome and talented. The girl next to him had an air of nobility that was beyond words. Perhaps they have powerful connections. Director Liu reached out and gently nudged Chen Zhang, deliberately lowering his voice as he spoke softly. Director Liu has a keen eye for talent. He truly deserves our admiration. Chen Zhang's eyes widened, and a clear look of shock appeared on his face. Chapter 159, Fang Zheng Calls. Nephew is a retired Special Forces soldier. Identity exposed, Part 2. My nephew's girlfriend is his college classmate. It is said that his family does indeed have a powerful background. It's fortunate that my nephew is handsome and exceptionally capable. Otherwise, people might not have been interested in him. Chen Zhang smiled and explained. That's true. Director Liu nodded in deep agreement. At the same time, Chen Yang, holding a beverage, toasted each of the leaders and bosses, and the atmosphere seemed quite pleasant. Just then, Chen Yang's cell phone rang. He casually picked it up and saw the words Uncle Fang displayed on the screen. Although Chen Yang and Fang Zheng only met by chance that day, but Chen Yang firmly believes that Fang Zheng, a retired soldier, could not possibly be an ordinary person after his demobilization. Given the state's treatment of meritorious officials, they would at least hold leadership positions in the public security sector. But what exactly the level is can only be known through in-depth understanding. That's why Chen Yang personally extended an invitation to Fang Zheng today, on the auspicious occasion of Shangshad's grand opening. Firstly, they wanted the other party to come to the store and share in the festive atmosphere. Secondly, I also wanted to find out about the other party's background indirectly. He did this mainly because he wanted to build up his own network of connections in his hometown. Even if he is no longer in Linjiang County in the future, if his family encounters any difficulties, there will still be someone to help. Chen Yang cast an apologetic look at the leaders and bosses. He then walked to a corner of the private room and answered the phone. "Zio Chen, is your hot pot restaurant called Shangshej?" Fang Zheng asked with a smile. "That's right, Uncle Fang, have you arrived? I'll come out to meet you right away." Chen Yang quickly replied, "Yes, I just arrived at the store entrance. But I see your new store is doing really well. I never expected that someone so young would not only be proficient in martial arts, but also a shrewd businessman. It truly amazes me." Fang Zheng smiled and said, "Well, I was just lucky. It was just a small-scale operation. Please wait a moment, I'll be right there." After Chen Yang finished speaking, he hung up the phone. Then she walked up to her uncle and father and said, "Dad, Uncle, could you please greet the guests for me? I'm going out to greet an elder." "Good." This was the first time that Chen Yang, Chen Zhang's uncle and father Chen Shan, had ever seen him show such a serious expression. A hint of doubt flashed in his eyes, but he ultimately did not ask, and instead nodded in agreement. "Qingya, let's go." Immediately afterwards, Chen Yang took Qingya's hand and walked towards the door of the private room. "What happened?" Boss Chen answered a phone call and rushed out. Could it be that something happened? After drinking a few glasses of wine, Captain Hu's face turned slightly red. Upon noticing Chen Yang's actions, he immediately looked at Chen Zhang with curiosity and asked, "Captain Hu, nothing serious has happened. My nephew just told me that he has an elder relative out there, and he needs to go pick him up in person. So he asked me and his father to make sure we treated everyone well. We told everyone to eat and drink well, and that he would come back as soon as he finished dealing with his business." Chen Zhang shook his head and replied with a smile. Upon hearing this, Captain Hu and the others calmed down and began to eat meat and drink wine heartily. At this time, the main entrance of Shangshej, Fang Zheng and his nephew Fang Su soon saw Chen Yang and Qingya striding towards them. "Uncle Fang, I'm so sorry. The hot pot restaurant just opened today, and I didn't expect business to be so booming. So I've been so busy that I haven't kept you waiting too long, have I?" Chen Yang walked up to Fang Zheng and said politely, "It's okay, I just arrived too. Let me introduce you. This is my nephew, Fang Su. He used to serve in a special forces unit. After retiring from the military a few years ago, he was assigned to work in a local area. Currently serving as the captain of the Criminal Investigation Brigade, the Linjiang County Public Security Bureau." Fang Zheng shook his head and chuckled. Then, pointing to Fang Su beside him, he introduced him to Chen Yang. "Captain Fang, hello, I'm Chen Yang. She is my girlfriend, Qingya, and we are college classmates." Upon hearing this, Chen Yang quickly shifted his gaze from Fang Zheng to Fang Su. Fang Su looked to be in his early 30s, with bronze skin, bright eyes, a resolute face, and a slightly serious expression. He stood naturally with his legs apart, his back straight, exuding the aura of a tough soldier full of majesty. "You're Chen Yang. My uncle told me you're very skilled. He said you practice some kind of traditional Chinese martial art, and even when my uncle sparred with you, he was no match for you." Fang Su's gaze fell on Chen Yang, scrutinizing him from head to toe. After a long while, he slowly spoke, his tone tinged with curiosity. "Captain Fang, you flatter me. It was only because Uncle Fang was careless for a moment that I managed to win by a mere half move." Chen Yang said with a faint smile, "You don't need to be modest. Although Uncle Fang is old and has some old ailments, his strength is undeniable. 7 or 8 ordinary men are no match for him at all. You lost to me in our sparring match. Just based on that, you're quite skilled." Fang Su did not lessen his scrutiny of Chen Yang because of his words. On the contrary, in his eyes, Chen Yang was an extremely dangerous person. Such people, once out of control, will cause enormous harm to society. Fortunately, Chen Yang seemed very humble and didn't appear to be the kind of person who liked to cause trouble and solve everything with violence. "Zio Su, don't treat Zio Chen like a criminal. After all, my uncle and I are here today specifically to congratulate Zio Chen on the grand opening of his hot pot restaurant." Fang Zheng spoke to his nephew Fang Su in such a harsh tone. To avoid causing unnecessary misunderstandings, he quickly spoke up to dissuade them. "Uncle Fang, Captain Fang, please come inside. We at Shangshaj opened our new store today, and we really didn't expect the business to be so booming. The main hall is now full, and the private rooms are all occupied by VIPs. However, in one of the private rooms, my uncle and father are entertaining friends who came to congratulate the opening of the new store. If you don't mind, I'll take you there to meet them. Chen Yang looked apologetically at Fang Zheng and his nephew Fang Su. In fact, Chen Yang had already reserved a small private room for Fang Zheng. However, after learning that Fang Su was the captain of the criminal investigation team of the County Public Security Bureau, they guessed that Fang Zheng's identity must be even more prestigious. Therefore, he thought of taking advantage of Fang Zheng's power to expand his own influence. Fang Zheng naturally saw Chen Yang's actions and quickly understood his intentions. If anyone else dares to take advantage of Fang Zheng, he will be furious and will immediately punish them, making them pay the price for their actions. However, Fang Zheng developed a fondness for Chen Yang's talent. In addition, Fang Zheng himself was also curious about what Chen Yang was really up to. Therefore, Fang Zheng pondered for a moment before nodding in reply. "Okay, I'll do whatever you say." After seeing Fang Zheng nod in agreement, Chen Yang smiled slightly. They immediately invited Fang Zheng and his nephew Fang Su into Shangshaj, and the group soon arrived at the door of private room 888. He pushed open the door and strode inside. This commotion immediately attracted the attention of everyone in the private room. For a moment, everyone stopped talking and focused their attention on Chen Yang and his group. "Uncle Fang, Captain Fang, let me introduce you. This is my father, Chen Shan, and this is my uncle, Chen Zhang. These are friends who have been invited by my uncle to congratulate Shangshaj on the opening of its new store." Chen Yang led Fang Zheng and his nephew Fang Su to their uncle and father and introduced them with a smile. "Dad, uncle, this is an elder I met in our neighborhood before. Uncle Fang is a retired soldier, and his nephew Fang Su is also a retired Special Forces soldier, currently serving as the captain of the criminal investigation team of our county's Public Security Bureau." After Chen Yang said this, the scene fell silent. Chen Shan and Chen Zhang's eyes widened, their faces filled with shock. They never expected that Chen Yang would know such a high-ranking and important person. After all, in their small county, even a leader like Fang Su is an unapproachable figure for ordinary people. At the same time, the leaders were equally shocked and incredulous, especially Captain Hu of the security team. As fellow cadres within the public security system, he immediately recognized Fang Zheng and his nephew Fang Su, and his expression changed drastically. "Director Fang, Captain Fang, what brings you two here together? And he even knows Boss Chen." Captain Hu rubbed his eyes vigorously, afraid that he was seeing things and had mistaken someone for someone else. After confirming several times that what he was seeing was not an illusion, he immediately stood up from his seat, strode over to Fang Zheng and his nephew Fang Su, and asked them respectfully, "Xiao Hu, what a coincidence. I didn't expect you to be invited to the opening of Xiao Chen's hot pot restaurant." Fang Zheng's gaze fell on Captain Hu, and after looking him over for a while, he recognized his identity. After a moment, he smiled gently. "Captain Hu, do you know Uncle Fang?" Chen Yang looked on with curiosity and asked Captain Hu. "It's more than just knowing each other. Boss Chen, Director Fang is the director of our county's Public Security Bureau, and he's also my and Captain Fang's direct superior." Captain Hu was deeply shocked. He originally thought that Chen Yang's biggest connection was his uncle, Chen Zhang. But to everyone's surprise, Chen Yang actually knew Fang Zheng. Judging from how they addressed each other, their relationship was clearly special. Otherwise, Fang Zheng and Fang Su wouldn't have made a special trip to attend the opening of Shangshaj's new store. "Uncle Fang, I had guessed before that you were not a simple person, but I never expected that you would actually be a high-ranking leader in our county. If I had known earlier, I would never have dared to attack you." Chen Yang gave a wry smile, looked at Fang Zheng with a resentful gaze, and said, "We are making friends through martial arts, and it has nothing to do with my identity. Besides, I didn't expect you to be such a good businessman at such a young age. This hot pot restaurant is doing so well on its first day of business, and you even managed to invite so many leaders and business owners. It seems that your Chen family has quite a wide network of connections in this area." Fang Zheng smiled slightly, his gaze sweeping over everyone. His eyes narrowed slightly, seemingly harmless, but in reality he had memorized all these people. "Uncle Fang is joking. My uncle is the vice principal of the county's #1 middle school. He has always been conscientious in his work, of good character and incorruptible. It's perfectly reasonable to know some leaders and bosses. When they learned that I, their nephew, wanted to open a hot pot restaurant in our hometown to improve the lives of our elders, they naturally offered their full support. In our hometown, doing business is all about personal connections. Without connections and resources, even doing business honestly can lead to trouble. You can't deny that, can you? Chen Yang dared not let Fang Zheng label him. After all, the Chen family had no real background or influence in the area, so they couldn't really be considered a powerful clan. If Chen Yang hadn't activated the system, he wouldn't have risen to prominence so quickly. It's likely that only the eldest uncle in their family has some social standing. The Chen family, nobody had ever heard of them. Zhao Chen, don't be nervous, I was just joking. Fang Zheng couldn't help but laugh when he saw Chen Yang's reaction. Uncle Fang, you're a public official. You can't just make jokes like that. It's easy to scare us ordinary folks to death. Upon hearing this, Chen Yang breathed a sigh of relief, but his eyes were filled with resentment as he spoke. All right, Uncle was wrong. As an apology, I'll make you a promise. As long as your family does business honestly and legally. In Linjiang County, you don't need to worry about anyone trying to take advantage of your hot pot restaurant in any way. Are you satisfied now? Fang Zheng is meticulous. He quickly guessed Chen Yang's main purpose in inviting him to the opening of Shangshad's new store. To put it bluntly, the Chen family has a weak foundation and no one to back them up. Chen Yang probably guessed that he was someone of extraordinary status, which is why he invited him to keep order. Firstly, it allows us to probe his identity and background. Secondly, it's also about using his identity to intimidate others. Killing two birds with one stone. There is even a deeper meaning behind it. After Fang Zheng's identity was confirmed, he quickly built a closer relationship with him, making himself a part of Fang Zheng's connections in his hometown. The steps are interconnected and progressively advanced. If all of this was planned in advance by Chen Yang, then he can only be described as truly extraordinary. Plan 5 steps ahead for every one step you take. Understand human nature and have a deep understanding of people's hearts. Such a talent, if he were to enter politics, would surely rise rapidly in the future. Uncle Fang, you're too kind. But since you're the leader and the most important person here, you have to keep your word. On behalf of my whole family and all the staff of Shangshage, I would like to express my gratitude to Uncle Fang. Today, there's plenty of good wine and meat. We're sure you'll have a great time and be completely satisfied. After Chen Yang finished speaking respectfully, he looked at his father and uncle. Then he began to speak. Dad, Uncle, please entertain Uncle Fang for me. I'll personally cook a few of my best dishes to show my appreciation to him. Upon hearing this, Fang Zheng quickly shook his head and politely declined, saying, Zhao Chen, there's no need to go to so much trouble. My nephew and I can just have something to eat. Besides, I can already smell the aroma of your hot pot. Just have someone bring up a few plates of meat so we can cook it in the broth. Chen Zhang suddenly spoke up at this moment. Director Fang, you are unaware of something. The soup base and dipping sauce of this hot pot restaurant are my nephew's exclusive recipe, and they taste incredibly delicious. But when it comes to delicious food, it has to be the dishes he cooks himself. He genuinely wanted to thank you, which is why he cooked for you personally. I can assure you, the dishes he made will taste absolutely unforgettable. Chapter 160, The Divine Recipe displays its power, shocking the entire audience. Upon hearing this, a hint of curiosity flashed in Fang Zheng's eyes. In the end, she couldn't refuse Chen Yang's kind offer. The arrival of Fang Zheng and his nephew Fang Su made the leaders and bosses in the private room even more enthusiastic. They quickly invited the two of them to sit in the main seats, then asked the waiter to change the soup base to a brand new one, and brought out several plates of beef and mutton, as well as various delicious ingredients, bowls and chopsticks, wine cups and wine glasses. After that, Chen Zhang warmly greeted everyone. Fang Su was rather taciturn, but when he smelled the aroma emanating from the hot pot broth, he was immediately filled with curiosity about its flavor. So after the broth boiled, he picked up a few slices of beef and put them into the pot. After swishing it a few times, I ate it with the dipping sauce. With just one bite, the flavor of the beef exploded in his mouth. Fresh, fragrant, tender, and refreshing. The broth and sauce complement each other perfectly, a stroke of genius. It makes the beef taste more delicious and refreshing. Delicious, this hot pot is absolutely amazing. Fang Su is knowledgeable and experienced. He has carried out many difficult and challenging missions, and his feet have traversed all over the country, and even some special areas overseas. Therefore, he was able to experience the local customs and cuisine of various places. But at this moment, the hot pot broth and dipping sauce, paired with fresh beef, tasted incredibly amazing to him, leaving him with an unforgettable aftertaste. "Uncle, you must try it. This hot pot tastes even more authentic than the ones we eat back home. The soup base and dipping sauce are absolutely priceless secret recipes." Fang Su looked up and suddenly stared at his uncle, Fang Zheng, and said. Upon hearing this, Fang Zheng also started eating. In just a moment, his face showed an expression of extreme enjoyment. Clearly, he was completely won over by Shangshai's hot pot broth and dipping sauce recipe. No wonder Shangshai is doing so well on its first day of business. On the one hand, the store's promotion is effective, attracting many customers to come and try it out. On the other hand, they were also curious about Shangshai's exclusive soup base and dipping sauce recipes, which is why they made a special trip to try them. Just based on its delicious taste, I guarantee that Shangshai will be an instant hit. It has become the most famous hot pot restaurant in Linjiang County, and even in Nanyang City without exception. Fang Zheng exclaimed in shock. On the other side, Chen Yang went to the kitchen. "Take out an apron and hang it around your neck. Then take the ingredients out of the refrigerator, wash them with clean water, and start cutting them into pieces for later use." In order to bring the ultimate culinary experience to Fang Zheng and his nephew Fang Su, Chen Yang decided to recreate all three of the legendary recipes. God-level scrambled eggs with tomatoes, God-level braised pork, God-level garlic and honey chicken wings. Add a few of your signature dishes, and that should be enough. Host detected cooking. Knife skills proficiency plus 500. Culinary skills proficiency plus 500. Advanced knife skills. 1500 10000. Advanced culinary skills. 1500 10000. Fortunately, the kitchen had professional cooking utensils and a powerful flame, which saved Chen Yang a lot of time. It took about an hour to prepare these dishes. Chen Yang asked the waiter to help carry it into the VIP room 888. At this time, Fang Zheng and his nephew Fang Su were already quite full from just the hot pot. "Zio Chen, you finally arrived. The hot pot at your Shangshai restaurant is so delicious. I almost ate too much without realizing it." Fang Zheng looked at Chen Yang and said with a smile, "Uncle Fang, I'm so sorry. I made some of my best dishes, so it took a lot of time. Now, I would like to ask Uncle Fang to help me with his evaluation." The words were spoken. Chen Yang waved his hand. Several waiters behind me brought the trays to the table. One by one, delicious dishes, each with its own appealing color, aroma, and taste, were placed in front of the table. This moment, everyone in the private room couldn't help but look at the dishes. The fragrant hot pot broth seemed to have lost its allure to them at that moment. "Since this is your kind gesture, then I can't refuse. All right then, let your uncle have a taste, and see just how high your culinary skills have reached." Fang Zheng smiled slightly, then picked up his chopsticks, took a piece of braised pork from the plate, and ate it in big bites. The next second, Fang Zheng's expression froze. His eyes widened like copper bells, filled with shock and disbelief. This braised pork is fatty but not greasy, and the sauce is not salty at all, but rather has a hint of sweetness. The meat is firm yet tender, with a fresh and savory flavor that hits the taste buds on the tip of the tongue. This is absolutely the best braised pork dish Fang Zheng has ever eaten. It tastes even better than the braised pork my old sergeant in the army used to make. You know, that old squad leader's ancestors came from the imperial kitchen. This Chen Yang looks young, but his cooking skills are simply superb. If you hadn't seen it with your own eyes, it would be hard to believe. Fang Zheng gave Chen Yang's cooking skills extremely high praise. He simply couldn't believe that Chen Yang, at such a young age, not only possessed extremely high attainments in martial arts, but now even his culinary skills had reached the pinnacle. He is simply an absolute prodigy. "Uncle, how does it taste?" When Fang Su saw his uncle Fang Zheng stare blankly after eating a piece of braised pork, he felt a little puzzled. So he immediately asked him, "Delicious, it's the best braised pork I've ever had." Chen Yang's culinary skills have definitely reached the top level of a master chef of state banquets. Fang Zheng pondered for a moment before finally giving a very high evaluation. These words were spoken. Fang Su looked extremely surprised. He knew his uncle was always serious and would never joke about something like this. As the saying goes, seeing is believing. Out of curiosity, Fang Su also tried the braised pork. His reaction was far more intense than Fang Zheng's. "Delicious, absolutely delicious. After living all these years, I finally understand today what real braised pork really is," Fang Su said with a look of surprise. Seeing this scene, Director Liu, Captain Hu, Director Wang, and the other bosses also took a bite out of curiosity. In an instant, I felt astonished by their divine presence. I now understand what true gourmet food really is. God-level braised pork, God-level scrambled eggs with tomatoes, God-level garlic and honey chicken wings. 3 divine dishes completely won over their stomachs. The other signature dishes, while not quite at the level of divine cuisine, are definitely better than those made by chefs in 5-star hotels. This moment, everyone looked at Chen Yang with shock in their eyes. They never expected that Chen Yang, at such a young age, would possess such superb culinary skills. No wonder the hot pot broth and dipping sauce he makes are so delicious. Compared to other hot pot restaurants on the market, it's a game changer. Chapter 161, Chen Yang's Request. A true dragon emerges from the abyss. Ambitious, he takes his parents back to Shanghai. Uncle Fang, Captain Fang, my cooking skills are pretty good, aren't they? Chen Yang smiled and asked Fang Zheng and his nephew Fang Su. Not just good, it's practically the cooking skills of a genius chef. Zhao Chen, you've given me another big surprise. Fang Zheng's gaze towards Chen Yang revealed no trace of admiration. Uncle Fang, I might be going back to Shanghai tomorrow. I don't know when we'll meet again. This Shangshaj is a property I bought for my family, and it is also their livelihood guarantee. Money can be a powerful motivator. I'm afraid that some people in the county town will covet this shop's business. So while I'm away, I'll have to trouble you, Captain Fang, and all the leaders and bosses to take good care of me. Of course, I won't let everyone help for nothing. From now on, all meals at Shangshaj will be free. Not only that, each person will also receive 3 gold membership cards, which you can easily give to your friends and family. Chen Yang saw that everyone was enjoying the meal, so he took the initiative to bring up the topic, hoping they would take good care of Shangshaj to prevent any fools from deliberately causing trouble. Brother Chen, you can rest assured about this. With me here, I guarantee no one will dare to lay a hand on Shangshaj. Fang Su was overjoyed when he heard Chen Yang's words. He had long been won over by the flavors of Shangshaj's hot pot broth and dipping sauce. The prices at Shangshaj are clearly not low, and with his income, it's impossible for him to eat out every day. But the conditions Chen Yang offered were exactly what he wanted. Anyway, this wasn't a violation of laws or regulations. It was entirely within his authority. It can both help Chen Yang intimidate others and provide him with a long-term meal ticket. This deal was practically a risk-free business for him. He made a fortune. Captain Fang, then I thank you in advance. Chen Yang smiled calmly and replied, Zhao Chen, I can tell that you are an outstanding person, a prodigy. Our future achievements certainly won't be limited to our small county town. You are filial and know how to be grateful, which is why you plan these things for your family. This is a good thing. I promised you before that as long as Shangshaj operates legally, I will do my best to take good care of it within my jurisdiction. Fang Zheng was growing to appreciate Chen Yang even more at this moment. I felt that although he looked young, he was far superior to his peers in terms of his interpersonal skills, work methods, and strategies. Uncle Fang, I'll offer you another toast with tea instead of wine. I'll do it, you can do as you please. Chen Yang picked up a can of drink from the table, gestured to Fang Zheng, and then downed it in one gulp. Such generosity is the only way to show his respect for Fang Zheng. Fang Zheng nodded, becoming more and more satisfied with Chen Yang. On the opening day, Shangshaj was a huge success. According to rumors, the owner of this hot pot restaurant is named Chen Yang, who was the top science student in the college entrance examination 4 years ago and became famous throughout the county and even the entire Nanyang city. They spent a fortune, buying out the entire shop in the core commercial district of the county, and even provided their secret recipe for hot pot broth and dipping sauce. At the opening ceremony, the County Public Security Bureau Chief, Criminal Investigation Team Captain, Public Security Team Captain, Education Bureau Director, Local Police Station Chief, and several business owners with large businesses were invited to attend. They have funds, connections, and capabilities. Shangshaj became an overnight sensation and gained fame in various circles within the small county. This made many people secretly envious and jealous. They could only be envious, but no one dared to lay a finger on it. After all, the network of connections that Chen Yang has cultivated should not be underestimated. These people don't need to offend Chen Yang and create a powerful enemy for such a small business deal. They knew very well that Chen Yang was very capable. Therefore, his stage is destined not to be limited to Linjiang County or just Nanyang City. It is not the more economically prosperous city of Shanghai. That's the right place for Chen Yang to develop his career. The reason for returning to his hometown to open a shop was simply to acquire some property for his family and ensure their livelihood, without affecting the core interests of the local clan. In fact, it could be said that it has absolutely nothing to do with it. With the closure of Shangshaj, that evening, the main hall of the Chen family was brightly lit. Uncle Chen Zhang and Uncle Chen Xian rushed over. The group sat around the sofa in the hall, their eyes filled with tension and anticipation. Chen Yang briefly reviewed today's accounts. He quickly found his answer, then looked up at the elders before him and slowly said, "Dad, Mom, Uncle, Third Uncle, I've settled our accounts for today. Our daily turnover exceeded 50,000 yuan. Based on the 60–70% profit margin of hot pot restaurants, our profit today is 30,000 to 35,000 yuan." As soon as Chen Yang said this, the eldest uncle, father, third uncle, mother, and others gasped. His eyes widened in disbelief, his face filled with shock and utter disbelief. To be honest, they knew their hot pot restaurant was profitable, but they didn't know it would be this profitable. Although the new store has just opened, various factors have led to its booming business. This turnover alone is almost comparable to the business of the most famous hotel in the county. To the Chen family, it all felt like a dream, too unreal. "Son, are you sure this sales figure is accurate? Our hot pot restaurant is so profitable." Chen Shan was the first to come to his senses. He tried his best to calm his excitement, and then asked Chen Yang, "Dad, how could I possibly make a mistake on such a simple calculation? Don't underestimate our county's overall GDP. It's home to quite a few wealthy people. Their spending power is no less than that of the middle class in first-tier cities. They can easily afford a meal that costs hundreds or even thousands of yuan. In particular, some leaders who work in government agencies are constantly being treated to meals by their bosses, and there is no shortage of banquets from the beginning to the end of the year. I expected that Shangshaj's turnover would not reach the level of Shanghai, but I think it is normal for a single day's turnover to exceed 50,000. Chen Yang shrugged and replied with a faint smile. With a daily turnover of 50,000, even if business declines later, given Shangshaj's reputation and taste, the store's monthly turnover will be at least over 1 million. After deducting the cost of ingredients and operations, the profit margin is at least 50% or more. So Shangshaj can bring our family at least 500,000 yuan in net profit every month. Going forward, we will increase the revenue from alcoholic beverages in our store. If you include the Chinese New Year and other holidays, the net profit for the year will be at least 6 or 7 million. At this point, Chen Shan's expression showed utter shock once again. He never expected that his son Chen Yang's casually opened hot pot restaurant could bring in such a high income in a year. If you take into account his businesses in Shanghai and the profits from his investments in the financial sector, his annual income must be at least tens of millions. The key point is that Chen Yang hasn't graduated from university yet. Other people at this age are still busy looking for jobs and accumulating work experience. But his son already earns tens of millions a year, and his business involves the catering and finance industries. The difference in strength and weakness is immediately apparent. Dad, Mom, Uncle, Third Uncle. Shangshaj is booming and has become famous in the core business district of the county. As long as the taste and service are maintained, the business will definitely not be bad. At least in the hot pot industry, there are no rivals in the entire Nanyang city. Earning 6 or 7 million a year is not a problem at all. So my idea is to divide the store's shares into 3 parts. Our family will take 60%, and my eldest uncle's and third uncle's families will each take 20%. In this way, everyone can work hard and earn a considerable income every month, which can help improve their family's situation. What do you think? Chen Yang pondered for a moment before speaking his mind. His main purpose in opening this hot pot restaurant was to increase revenue for his elders in the family. Shangshaj's size and scale are limited, even if my eldest uncle and third uncle each take 20% of the shares. But the annual profit they receive is at least over 1 million. If business is good, the income can even reach 2 million. This amount of money is already a considerable sum for ordinary people. Most importantly, it happens every year. Once things were settled at home, Chen Yang had no more worries. He could then fully utilize his talents and abilities in the economically prosperous metropolis of Shanghai. After hearing Chen Yang's words, his eldest uncle Chen Zhang and third uncle Chen Xian were even more shocked by his method of distribution. Zioying, this way of allocating resources is really inappropriate. You bought this shop, and you also provided the secret recipe for the hot pot broth and dipping sauce. Your aunt and uncle and aunt can only help you out and earn a salary and bonus. How could they possibly take so many shares? Uncle Chen Zhang's expression changed drastically. A moment later, his gaze immediately swept over Chen Yang, and he began to offer his advice. Uncle, we're all family, why be so polite? Although Shangshai is profitable, in my eyes it's just a small business. The main reason I run it is to provide a livelihood for my elders and my mother and improve their lives. This is a token of my appreciation, so please don't refuse it. Only when my home is safe and stable can I develop my career in Shanghai with peace of mind. In just a few years, I will be able to enable my parents and the entire Chen family to fully enjoy their retirement. Chen Yang smiled confidently and said, upon hearing this, Uncle Chen Zhang's expression changed once again. Only then did he realize that his nephew was extremely ambitious. While they were still basking in the glory of Shangshai earning 6 or 7 million a year, Chen Yang was already plotting an even grander scheme. His goal was never just to achieve this. Having figured this out, Chen Zhang met Chen Yang's gaze and said, Zio Yang, since you've made up your mind, your uncle won't try to persuade you anymore. You should focus on developing your career in Shanghai. Your uncle and third uncle will take care of you and won't cause you any trouble. If you ever need our help, feel free to call us anytime. Chen Yang readily nodded. Uncle, then it's settled. I'll leave the business of Shangshai to my aunt and uncle and aunt to take care of. Tomorrow, I'm taking my parents to Shanghai, where they'll stay for a few days. They'll return to Nanyang after things are settled there. Uncle Chen Zhang replied with a smile. Okay, no problem. After seeing off his eldest uncle and third uncle, Chen Yang looked at his parents and said, Dad, Mom, I've already booked your plane tickets. Tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, you two elders, come with me and Qingya to Shanghai to meet Qingya's parents. If all goes well, we'll finalize our marriage plans then. Upon hearing that it was for this reason, Chen Shan and Wu Yan, a married couple, immediately agreed with great joy. No problem, I'll do whatever you say. That night, Chen Shan and Wu Yan were so excited they could hardly sleep. I didn't fall asleep until 1:30 a.m. The following morning, 8 o'clock, after having breakfast and packing my luggage, Chen Yang hailed a high-end business car, and the driver parked the car downstairs at the building. The group then took the elevator downstairs and arrived at the car. The driver opened the car door and respectfully greeted Chen Yang. Then, he helped put the luggage into the car. After Chen Yang and his group of 4 got into the car and fastened their seatbelts, they sat back in the driver's seat, started the engine, and drove to the airport. The journey took less than 40 minutes. After getting off the bus, they walked into the airport terminal and then headed to the ticket gate to have their tickets checked. Because Chen Yang had purchased first-class tickets, a dedicated staff member led them to the VIP lounge to rest. Boarding began in about half an hour. The plane quickly took off from the runway and disappeared into the clouds. Around 2 p.m., the plane landed safely at Shanghai Airport. Chen Yang, carrying his suitcase, took out his phone from his pocket and dialed Ma Wenfeng's number. The phone was answered within seconds of ringing. Mr. Chen, have you gotten off the plane yet? Soon, Ma Wenji's voice came from the other end. Yes, just now. Has the car been arranged? Chen Yang asked directly. Don't worry, Mr. Chen. The car was in the airport passageway. The driver, Lin Yuan, used to be a member of the military vehicle repair team. His driving skills and abilities are outstanding. He is a driver specially recruited for you by the company, guaranteed to be quick-witted and reliable. Ma Wenji patted his chest and said, Okay, send the license plate number to my phone. Chen Yang had considerable trust in Ma Wenji's abilities, so he nodded. No problem. The call ended. A few seconds later, Chen Yang received a message. The message contained a photo showing a black, 7-seater luxury van with a license plate number Chinese letter, a 007688. Chen Yang led Qingya and his parents through the VIP channel to the outside of the airport. Soon, they spotted the car in the photo parked not far ahead. Next to the car stood a young man in a black suit, with a straight posture, thick eyebrows, and big eyes. He is Lin Yuan, a native of Jiangbei and a retired soldier. A few days ago, I saw a job posting for a driver from Qingyang Financial Investment Company. The requirements were excellent physical fitness, sharp eyesight, and preferably not too old. So I applied for the job with a try-it-out mentality. To everyone's surprise, Because of his status as a retired soldier and a former truck driver, the person in charge immediately decided to hire him. I've been working for several days, but I haven't seen the boss at the company. I found out that the boss had gone back to his hometown and wouldn't be back in Shanghai for a few days. Just an hour ago, upon receiving instructions from Boss Ma, Lin Yuan drove to the airport to pick up his boss and rushed over immediately. Chapter 162, Parents' Glory and Pride. Ma Wenfeng calls. Not long after, Chen Yang, along with his girlfriend Yi Qingye and his parents, walked to the van. Boss, I'm Lin Yuan, the driver specially arranged for you by Mr. Ma. Lin Yuan had already seen Chen Yang's photo. Therefore, he recognized Chen Yang's identity at a glance and asked respectfully, "Take me home first to the OCT Villa area." Chen Yang smiled and nodded at Lin Yuan. Then he spoke. "Okay," Lin Yuan respectfully replied. Then he quickly put his suitcase into the carriage. After doing all that, they opened the car door and let Chen Yang and his group get in before driving off towards their destination. Inside the car, Chen Shan's eyes showed curiosity. "Son, is he your personal chauffeur? You bought a house and a car in Shanghai." Seeing this, Chen Yang decided not to hide it from his parents. He immediately replied truthfully, "Yes, I had the company arrange a driver for me. As for the house and car, I had Qingye accompany me to buy them some time ago. After all, when developing in Shanghai, you need to have a place to stay. It's not very convenient to always rent a place to live. As it happens, I made a lot of money investing in the stock market, so I simply bought a detached villa in the best location. I thought that when you come over, Mom and Dad, you can stay more comfortably." Upon hearing this, a strange look flashed across Wu Yan's face. After a moment, she looked at Chen Yang and said earnestly, "Property in Shanghai is incredibly expensive, and you bought a detached villa. How much did that cost? Son, tell me the truth. How much money did you actually make from your investments?" Chen Yang smiled faintly, then said softly, "It cost more than 200 million to buy the villa. Later, I started a financial investment company and made a lot of money. Now, my net worth is over 10 figures. Chen Shan and Wu Yan were immediately taken aback. 10 digits, that would be a billion. Chen Yang smiled and nodded. "Dad, Mom, you have to keep this a secret for me. Try not to let outsiders know, so as to avoid unnecessary trouble. The profits of Shanghai over a year are astronomical figures in your eyes. But in my eyes, it's just the profit from trading in the financial market for a morning. Having gotten used to making big money and quick money, I honestly look down on this kind of real economy business that has a long cycle and requires a lot of energy. However, if you are willing to manage it, I can entrust similar industries to you to manage in the future." Chen Shan immediately clicked his tongue in amazement. He never dreamed that his son's investment business would grow so large. Profits have reached the billion level. No wonder his standards have become so high now, and his aura has undergone a complete transformation. After chatting for about half an hour, the van arrived at the entrance of the OCT Villa area. Because the car was purchased by the company, its license plate was not entered into the property management system. The security guard at the gate did not allow it to pass. Chen Yang had Lin Yuan roll down the car window and show his face. The security personnel immediately recognized Chen Yang's identity, apologized, and then let him pass. "The van will take you directly to Villa number 13 in Area A." The car door opened. After getting out of the car, Chen Yang entered the gate password and then led Yi Qingye and his parents into the villa's lobby. Lin Yuan, on the other hand, was very perceptive and took charge of carrying the luggage. "Dad, Mom, this is the house I bought in Shanghai, and it's our home in Shanghai." Chen Yang pointed to the luxurious villa in front of him and said with a proud expression. Chen Shan and Wu Yan, a married couple, were deeply impressed by the spacious area and the extremely luxurious design and layout. The scene before them was 10 times more luxurious than the first time they saw that lavish apartment in the Shuixi Yunting residential complex. Of course, the corresponding housing prices will be more than 10 times higher. Okay. Son, you've really made something of yourself. He's 100 times better than Dad imagined." Chen Shan said excitedly. "Son, Mom is so proud of you." Wu Yan was also very excited. The couple looked at the luxurious villa and were filled with emotion. "I am genuinely proud of my son Chen Yang's achievements. Dad, Mom, let me show you around." The words were spoken. Chen Yang then took his parents on a tour of the various places. After looking around, we chose a spacious room for them and prepared a whole set of brand new toiletries and bedding. Ring ringed. It was at this moment Chen Yang's phone rang. He picked it up and saw that it was a call from Ma Wenji. President Chen, young Master Qin knows you're back. He's at the company right now and specifically wants to see you. Would you like to come over? As soon as the call connected, Ma Wenji's voice came through, asking respectfully. Okay, tell him to wait a little longer. I have something to take care of here. I'll be right there when I'm done. Chen Yang thought for a moment before replying. Okay. Ma Wenji responded decisively. After hanging up the phone, Chen Yang went to his parents' room. Dad, Mom, I have some things to take care of at the company. I'll have Kingya accompany you around. This is my bank card. The PIN is the last 6 digits of the card number. Just swipe the card to buy whatever you like. My son has money. He doesn't need to be too frugal for me. Chen Yang took out a bank card from his wallet and handed it to his mother, Wu Yan. After saying that, without waiting for her parents to refuse, she went to the hall and explained the situation to Yi Qingya. Chen Yang, leave your uncle and aunt to me. You've been back in your hometown for so long. There must be a lot of things at the company waiting for you to handle. If you can't make it back in time tonight, remember to call me in advance so I can take your aunt and uncle out to eat. Yi Qingya smiled sweetly and then said to Chen Yang with understanding. Okay, thank you for your hard work. I'll cook you a big meal when I get back from my busy schedule. Chen Yang stepped forward and embraced Yi Qingya. Then he lightly kissed her forehead. Immediately afterwards, he turned around and strode out of the villa gate. The driver, Lin Yuan, had already parked the car at the entrance and opened the door, standing respectfully to the side. After Chen Yang sat down, he closed the car door and drove to Qingyang Financial Investment Company. Half an hour later, the van arrived at the company building. After getting out of the car, Chen Yang strode into the lobby and took the elevator directly to the company. Hello, Mr. Chen. Upon seeing Chen Yang, the beautiful receptionist immediately stood up and greeted him warmly. Chen Yang nodded to the other party and walked into the company's office area. At this time, Ma Wenji had been waiting for a long time. Upon seeing Chen Yang, she immediately ran up to him and said softly, Mr. Chen, you finally arrived. If you hadn't come soon, young Master Qin in the VIP room might have been getting impatient. Upon hearing this, Chen Yang frowned and asked, somewhat puzzled, Young Master Qin, why is he coming to our company? And they specifically asked to see me. Did something go wrong with the investments while I was away from the company? Has he come here to confront me and demand an explanation? Chapter 163, Goodbye Young Master Qin, The Deeper Meaning of Strategic Partnership, Part 2. Mr. Chen, you've misunderstood. During your absence, our company's investment team strictly followed your instructions in making investments. And in the stock market, they achieved outstanding performance. Perhaps because the performance was so impressive. After learning the news, Qin Shao would pay attention to it almost every day as soon as the stock market opened. As soon as the stock market closed this afternoon, he rushed to the company. Knowing that you had just returned to Shanghai from your hometown, I was eager to see you, which is why I specifically asked you to call and report to you. When Chen Yang raised his question, Ma Wenji dared not hide the truth. He immediately told Chen Yang the whole story. So the company's performance this week was pretty good. Chen Yang asked calmly. Yes. On Monday morning, Qin Shao's 500 million yuan was transferred into our company's investment account. Under your instructions, Mr. Chen, our company's investment team will handle the operation, proceeding steadily and surely as you have instructed. We maintain a profit of nearly 5% almost every day. This week, net profit has exceeded 20%. Ma Wenji looked at Chen Yang with admiration in his eyes and said, he knew it very well. All of this is thanks to Chen Yang's investment acumen. If it weren't for him providing investment guidance and the key points for each stock's rise and fall, given the current strength of Qingyang Financial Investment Company's investment team, it is simply impossible to guarantee a stable profit of 5%. Not to mention, they were able to obtain the 500 million yuan investment funds from Qin Shao. It is no exaggeration to say that Chen Yang won all of this through his own efforts and abilities. That is precisely the reason. Only then did Ma Wenji truly realize the gap between himself and Chen Yang, and only then did he feel genuine admiration for him. Yes, thank you for your hard work. Chen Yang reached out and put his hand on Ma Wenji's shoulder, patting him gently. As they were talking, the two had already reached the entrance to the VIP room. Then he pushed the door open and went inside. Mr. Chen, it's been a few days. I didn't expect you to have quietly returned to your hometown, but even so, you haven't forgotten about investing. Instead, you've brought me such a huge surprise. To be honest, it's really hard for me to believe. Upon seeing Chen Yang, Qin Dong immediately stood up from the sofa, strode over to him, and said excitedly, "Young Master Qin, I already told you this before. You will never be disappointed by my investment skills. Even if you own a small percentage of shares, as long as you trust me, I can create amazing profits for you. I understand that you had some doubts about my abilities at the beginning, but now that you've seen it with your own eyes, you should believe it completely, right?" Chen Yang's gaze fell on Qin Dong. After a long pause, he smiled and said, I believe very much. Your investment skills are absolutely the best I've ever seen. Although I don't know exactly how you did it, as long as you guarantee my interests, I will do whatever it takes, no matter the conditions, as long as I can do it. To be honest, Qin Dong himself hadn't expected that Chen Yang's investment talent in the financial field would be so monstrous and terrifying. I invested in a dozen or 20 stocks over the course of a week. Not a single one resulted in an investment loss. Every stock selected by Chen Yang has generated amazing benefits for the company. Ultimately, Qin Dong benefited from this and made a considerable amount of money from it. This alone is enough to make Qin Dong look at Chen Yang in a different light. As the old saying goes, when a business can generate 50% profit, it can keep people constantly busy. When a business can generate a 200% profit, it can make people take risks. Chen Yang's stock market investments are practically guaranteed to make him a fortune. This alone was enough to make Qin Dong take him extremely seriously. It's important to understand that the financial industry is not like the real economy. Its initial investment cost is very low. It does not require purchasing factory buildings, various high-end equipment, or even hiring a large number of workers. However, the barrier to entry for making money in this industry is not low. First and foremost, you need to understand what finance is and be able to read and understand various theories and data. Then, analyze the situation based on market changes. Of course, if you are skilled enough to obtain inside information from financial institutions or behind-the-scenes bigwigs in advance, it will undoubtedly be easier to operate the business. Even so, there are still huge risks. This is why those who can successfully make money in the financial industry and consistently make a lot of money are all big shots in the industry. And people like that have no shortage of connections. Countless business owners, business tycoons, and even children of high-ranking officials, powerful figures, and celebrities. They would all take the initiative to extend an olive branch to him and befriend him. Therefore, when Qin Dong learned that Chen Yang possessed such extraordinary investment talent, he immediately abandoned his previous arrogant attitude and couldn't wait to get closer to him in order to maintain a longer-term cooperative relationship. You need to know, in less than a week, after Chen Yang invested the 500 million yuan, it had already yielded a profit of over 20%. According to the 70-30 split agreed upon by Qin Dong and Chen Yang, he would receive 30 million. It's incredibly efficient at making money, with low risk, and most importantly, it's legal and legitimate. How could Qin Dong possibly remain calm in this situation? In Qin Dong's mind, Chen Yang was practically a god of wealth. With just a little effort, one can turn lead into gold and transform the rotten into the miraculous. Therefore, Qin Donghui's behavior was entirely reasonable. Young Master Qin, there's no need to get so agitated. The fact that I, Chen Yang, intend to start a company instead of choosing to make a fortune on my own is enough to prove that I am an ambitious person. Although at present, my foundation in Shanghai is still shallow and my experience is insufficient, but I always believe that gold will shine. Once Qingyang Financial Investment Company gains a reputation in the industry, I believe that many investors will seek cooperation with me. At that time, the funds I can use will increase many times over, and profits will definitely skyrocket as well. Chen Yang smiled faintly. He had anticipated this from the very beginning. Unexpectedly, Qin Dong reacted so quickly. After all, there are many people who can make money these days, but very few who can make big money and be highly efficient. The probability of this is not much greater than the chance of getting into Tsinghua University, Peking University, or Yenching University every year. However, there are very few talents who are suitable for the Qin family's economic system and can cooperate and develop together. But Qin Dong greatly admired Chen Yang's appearance and the brilliance he exuded. If he missed this great opportunity for cooperation, Qin Dong had a premonition that he would regret it for the rest of his life. Thinking about this, Qin Dong stared intently at Chen Yang with a serious expression and said, Mr. Chen, I have personally witnessed your investment capabilities. I believe that with your abilities, it's only a matter of time before you become a leader in Shanghai's financial circle. Therefore, I would like to formally establish a long-term cooperative relationship with you and make you a strategic partner of the Qin family. I wonder if you are interested. Strategic partner? The fact that Qin Dong uttered this word caused a flicker of surprise in Chen Yang's eyes. He was a smart man, and of course he knew that Qin Dong's so-called strategic partner was meant to deeply bind him to the Qin family. Chen Yang has demonstrated extraordinary talent in the financial field, earning him the reputation of a Midas touch. As long as this profit trend can be maintained, before long, he will become a household name in Shanghai's financial circles and rise to become a new darling of the financial world. However, because he has no foundation or background power, he will undoubtedly become a target for various forces to win him over. If the outcome is favorable, he will reach a cooperation agreement with a certain force, achieving mutual benefit. If he insists on going it alone and refuses to join any faction, only thinking about hoarding all the benefits, he will then face a siege by capital, as well as endless targeting and suppression. After all, no one can allow a powerful enemy to rampage through their hunting grounds and devour all the prey that originally belonged to them. To put it bluntly, once you enter this circle, you have to follow the rules they set. If they do not comply, they will be attacked by the mob, and their ultimate fate will be either destruction or expulsion. Once you enter the world of martial arts, it's like entering a deep sea. Whether you stay or leave is entirely up to you. The world of fame and fortune has always been like this. Chen Yang understood this principle well, so Qin Dong's suggestion was exactly what he wanted. However, that was my previous idea. But now, other thoughts have arisen in his mind. After careful consideration, he did not rush to answer Qin Dong. Young Master Qin, I am very grateful for your appreciation and high regard for me. But right now, I can't answer you. Okay, give me 2 days to think about it. After 2 days, I'll give you a formal answer. How about that? Chen Yang pondered for a moment. He met Qin Dong's gaze and replied calmly. Qin Dong's expression froze for a moment. He had assumed that Chen Yang would agree without hesitation, given the Qin family's extraordinary status and profound foundation in Shanghai. Anyone who can become a strategic partner of the Qin family will receive their protection and enjoy greater access to resources and connections. From then on, they will have no more worries. For Chen Yang, this was definitely a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. However, Chen Yang's answer was completely unexpected. Could it be that Chen Yang has made connections with other forces? No, that's unlikely. Even if he's made contact with other forces, he's smart enough to know the Qin family's status and power in Shanghai. It's impossible to risk offending the Qin family by choosing to cooperate with other forces. Qin Dong thought to himself. He looked at Chen Yang calmly and without showing any emotion. Mr. Chen, I was too hasty. It's only 2 days, I can wait. I hope you can give me a satisfactory answer then. Chen Yang nodded, a smile playing on his lips. Don't worry, young Master Qin, I will never let you down. After exchanging pleasantries for a while, Qin Dong got up to take his leave. Chen Yang then went into the office and asked Ma Wenji to compile the company's investment report for the week, which he then reviewed personally. After confirming repeatedly that the company's investment team had strictly followed his instructions in making the investments, he breathed a slight sigh of relief. Mr. Ma, well done. Hopefully, we can maintain this level of performance going forward. Chen Yang looked up at Ma Wenji and said with a smile, Don't worry, Mr. Chen. I will strictly follow your orders and instructions and ensure that I do not delay your business opportunities. After witnessing Chen Yang's investment operations several times, Ma Wenji was filled with admiration for his boss's investment talent. In addition, this investment plan, involving 500 million, continues to demonstrate its winning streak. He had unwavering faith in Chen Yang's investment capabilities. As long as Chen Yang dares to give an order, he will carry it out without hesitation and will never delay his money-making. After all, Chen Yang's investments these days are in the millions. Even with an annual salary of several million, Ma Wenfeng would not be able to afford to pay for any losses caused by any mistake. Okay, if there's nothing else, let's go home. By the way, help me find an assistant and a few bodyguards later. If I get too busy to handle something important, I can have the assistant notify me, which will also relieve some of the pressure on you. Bodyguards protect me during my daily outings and ensure my personal safety. After thinking for a moment, Chen Yang gave instructions to Ma Wenji. No problem. I'll handle this personally, and I'll make sure Mr. Chen is completely satisfied. Ma Wenji replied with a serious expression. Okay, have the driver bring the car downstairs and take me home. Chen Yang smiled slightly and said, Okay, Ma Wenji replied respectfully. A few minutes later, Chen Yang took the elevator to the lobby. As soon as they stepped out of the building, they saw a luxury van parked in front of them. The driver, Lin Yuan, stood beside the car and immediately opened the door. He only closed the door after Chen Yang had sat down. The car engine started, and it slowly drove onto the national highway, heading towards its destination. When passing by a large supermarket, Chen Yang had the driver pull over to the side of the road, then went inside to buy some fresh ingredients, preparing to cook a big meal for his parents and Yi Qingye that evening. Nearly 40 minutes later, the van finally arrived at the Huiqiao detached villa. After getting out of the car, Chen Yang, carrying the groceries, said to the driver, Lin Yuan, Pick me up at 8 o'clock sharp every weekday morning. I'll let you know if it's on the weekend. Upon hearing this, Lin Yuan nodded quickly. Yes, President Chen. If there's nothing else, go back and rest. After Chen Yang finished speaking, he turned around and walked towards the villa's lobby. Not long after, they entered the house. Dad, Mom, Qingye, I'm back. As Chen Yang entered the hall, he saw his parents and Yi Qingye sitting on the sofa, so he called out to them. Son, you're home from get off work. Chen Shan got up from the sofa and looked at Chen Yang. Yeah, something came up at the company, so I went to take care of it. On the way back, I bought some ingredients. I'll cook you a big meal later. Chen Yang smiled and said, Thanks a lot. I rushed to catch a flight in the morning, and after getting home, I didn't get much rest before rushing to work. Can my body handle working non-stop like that? Chen Shan asked with concern. Dad, I'm the company boss. My main job is to make decisions and set the direction. The specific work is done by my subordinates. It's not hard work at all. It's all mental activity, not as tiring as you think. Chen Yang chuckled and offered an explanation. Upon hearing this, Chen Shan finally breathed a sigh of relief. That's good. Mom, come to the kitchen and help me out. Let's make dinner first. Chen Yang called out to his mother, Wu Yan. Okay, Mom will help you. Wu Yan quickly responded, then walked up to Chen Yang, took a bag of ingredients from his hand, and headed towards the kitchen. Chapter 164, Keeping the Good Stuff in the Family, Advanced 8 Trigrams Swimming Dragon Palm, Combat Power Soars. Inside the kitchen, Mother Wu Yan helped wash the vegetables and clean the ginger, garlic, and other seasonings. Chen Yang will serve as the head chef. He first tied on an apron, then placed the cutting board on the kitchen table, sharpened the knife with a whetstone, and began to cut meat and vegetables. His knife skills were so skillful that even his mother found them pleasing to the eye. Host detected cooking, knife skills proficiency plus 500, culinary skills proficiency plus 500. Advanced knife skills, 2001-0000. Advanced culinary skills, 2001-0000. Chen Yang devoted himself wholeheartedly to the task. The whole process was smooth and seamless, without any hiccups. After making the divine tomato scrambled eggs, I'll make the divine braised pork, and then the garlic honey chicken wings. Then came a steamed sea bass, a stir-fried bean sprout, a stir-fried lettuce with fermented black beans, and a chicken soup with lots of ingredients. These dishes were more than enough for the 4 of them. Afterwards, Chen Yang and his mother took the dishes to the outdoor dining table and arranged them one by one. The family sat around the dining table and enjoyed a delicious meal. After dinner, Chen Yang took Yi Qingye for a walk outside. When I got tired, I went to sit down on a wooden bench. Qingye, there's something I'd like to discuss with you. Chen Yang held Yi Qingye's fair and smooth hands, met her gaze sincerely, and slowly spoke. What's the matter that you're making such a big deal out of it? Yi Qingye smiled and asked. Qin Dong spoke with me specifically at the company this afternoon. He knows I am very capable in financial investment, so he especially wants to deepen our cooperative relationship and make me a strategic partner of the Qin family. To put it bluntly, it's about completely binding me to the Qin family, because he knows very well that in Shanghai's financial circle, no matter how capable Chen Yang, am, I am just a lone wolf with no backing or background. If we don't find a power to align ourselves with, we will inevitably be lured away by other capital. Perhaps we might even be lured away by their rival forces. To avoid this situation, young Master Qin would naturally want to strike first. But I'm thinking that we're boyfriend and girlfriend now, and after we get engaged, we'll be family. As the saying goes, don't let the good stuff go to outsiders. I can't possibly give such a great money-making opportunity to outsiders without thinking about my own people. Didn't you tell me before that your grandparents' family and maternal grandparents' family are both in business? How powerful are they in Shanghai? If they have enough influence in the financial sector, then I might as well bring them in as well. In this way, since they are willing to support me, I can also let them make more profits. It's mutually beneficial, so why not? Chen Yang first gave a brief description of his cooperation with Qin Dong. Then he organized his thoughts and explained it to Yi Qingye in a way she could understand. Upon hearing this, Yi Qingye quickly understood what Chen Yang meant. Although the Qin family has a deep-rooted background, they are also a good partner. However, compared to Yi Qingye's relatives, they were ultimately just outsiders. This kind of business is guaranteed to make money, so naturally we should favor our own family members and also show off our strength in front of Yi Qingye's relatives to make her proud. If it were other businesses, Yi Qingye wouldn't want to get involved. After all, she was still young and had no business experience. There were many intricacies involved that she was unaware of. However, financial investment is Chen Yang's forte. Moreover, it's a project that has been proven by the market and is genuinely profitable. Under these circumstances, it would be much easier for Yi Qingye to persuade her cousins to invest. The more Yi Qingye thought about it, the more reliable Chen Yang's suggestion seemed. Chen Yang, you're absolutely right. Why should the Qin family get all the benefits? I remember my eldest uncle and aunt, as well as my cousin and his wife. Their families did business in Shanghai, and their business was very large. If you really have this idea, then I'll take you to visit them tomorrow and ask them to invest in your financial company. They all love me very much, and you are my boyfriend, so I believe they will definitely give you a chance to show your abilities. Then you can prove your worth with your abilities. If we take a two-pronged approach, we'll definitely be able to convince them. Yi Qingye leaned her entire body against Chen Yang's chest and said with a serious expression, "Okay, then it's decided. I'll buy some gifts tomorrow, and we'll go visit him together." At this moment, Chen Yang felt absolutely no nervousness or trepidation about meeting Yi Qingye, an elder. Some people were simply curious, wondering what their identities were and whether they could become their backers in Shanghai's financial circles. If that doesn't work, then the terms he and Qin Dongsheng agreed on might have to change again. The following morning, Chen Yang woke up in bed. Yi Qingye nestled in his arms, sleeping soundly. Chen Yang carefully got out of bed, then washed up and went downstairs. But instead, he saw his mother, Wu Yan, busy in the kitchen. "Mom, why are you up so early? Why don't you go to sleep for a while?" "I'll make breakfast." Chen Yang stepped forward and spoke to his mother, Wu Yan. "Mom is getting old. She doesn't sleep much and has a light sleep, so she's used to waking up early. That's why I was thinking of making breakfast for you and Qingye." Mother Wu Yan replied with a kind smile. "Mom, you've worked so hard. Enjoy your time in Shanghai and have fun. Take it easy and enjoy life. Once you go back to your hometown, you'll be busy with Shangshi's business, so you probably won't have much time to rest." Chen Yang said with a smile. "Okay, Mom will listen to you." Wu Yan nodded, her eyes filled with satisfaction. "I'm going out for my morning exercise. Qingye will wake up soon, so you can eat first. There's no need to wait for me." After Chen Yang finished speaking, he stepped out the door. Having gotten used to morning exercise, Chen Yang now feels uncomfortable all over if he doesn't exercise for a day. "I ran a few laps around the villa complex to warm up." Chen Yang found an open space and began practicing the Bagua swimming dragon palm. Since that day when Chen Yang sparred with Fang Zheng, his palm technique proficiency has increased dramatically, becoming even more refined and intuitive. I also gained a deeper understanding of palm techniques and body movements. Its speed and power have been significantly improved. Host detected practicing Bagua Yulong palm, proficiency plus 100. Host detected practicing Bagua Yulong palm, proficiency plus 100. Chen Yang was completely absorbed in the task, and the Bagua swimming dragon palm he used was both powerful and gentle, with a fierce momentum. As he continued to practice and his proficiency improved, he encountered no bottlenecks whatsoever. The 8 trigram swimming dragon palm can be upgraded from the beginner level to the advanced level. 8 trigram swimming dragon palm, advanced, 010000. Not long after, a virtual light screen appeared before Chen Yang's eyes, with a prompt message popping up on it. The next second, a memory of more profound power generation techniques, and martial arts fighting methods of Bagua Yulong Palm surged into his mind. Gradually digested and absorbed, ultimately this translated into personal skills, adding at least 10 years of practice experience out of thin air. Chen Yang's physique and spirit also saw a significant improvement at this moment. The sensation of qi within the body instantly surged several times over. He could clearly feel his own strength increasing rapidly, like a rocket. I could easily defeat 10 versions of myself from before. Chapter 165, Preparing to Meet My Girlfriend's Elders. Taking My Parents Shopping at the Mall, Part 2. Chen Yang was very happy to see the changes his body was undergoing, because this means that his own safety is once again somewhat guaranteed. But he did not become complacent. Instead, they felt even weaker, far from being a match for those top experts. He didn't practice martial arts, so when he met a martial arts master, it was like a frog at the bottom of a well looking at the moon in the sky. Now that he practices martial arts, when he meets a martial arts master, it's like a mayfly seeing the blue sky. Therefore, he developed a deep awe for the pinnacle of martial arts. To reach the pinnacle and become a true master, even if Chen Yang possesses the system, he still has a long way to go. Therefore, he constantly reminds himself to stay true to his original aspirations, keep climbing, and eventually reach the summit. Half an hour later, Chen Yang returned to the villa after finishing his morning exercise. Meanwhile, Yi Qingye had already gotten up and changed into a khaki casual outfit, which was very fashionable and perfectly accentuated her graceful figure. Upon seeing her, Chen Yang was immediately captivated by the charm she exuded. "Is it pretty?" Yi Qingye noticed that Chen Yang was staring at her intently. The next moment, she slowly walked up to Chen Yang and asked with a teasing smile, "It looks good, and it matches your temperament and charm perfectly." Chen Yang nodded, showering him with praise. "Real?" Yi Qingye felt as sweet as if she had been coated with honey. From childhood to adulthood, she has received countless people's attention and grown up amidst everyone's praise. Her parents and relatives doted on her like a princess. But only at this moment, Chen Yang's praise made her feel happier than ever before. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, that's pretty much it. Qingye, you are the reincarnation of a celestial maiden. Your beauty is beyond compare. I am proud to have a girlfriend as beautiful and elegant as you. Chen Yang couldn't help but reach out and hug Yi Qingye's slender waist, his eyes filled with deep affection as he spoke. You know how to talk. Go take a shower and change into clean clothes. You smell terrible from all that sweat." Yi Qingye pushed Chen Yang away forcefully, then glared at him with disgust. "Yes, I'll get on it right away." Chen Yang knew he had worked up a sweat during his morning exercise. He gave an awkward laugh, and then immediately went upstairs to his room. "I spent 15 minutes taking a shower, changing into casual clothes, and then went downstairs to the lobby. Auntie left you 2 eggs and some millet porridge. Go and eat them yourself. We've all already eaten." When Yi Qingye saw Chen Yang approaching, she pointed towards the restaurant and said, "Good." Chen Yang nodded in agreement. Then they ate breakfast. "Qingye, when you have time, call your parents and ask when they are free, so I can make arrangements for them to meet with my parents." Chen Yang suddenly spoke up, getting down to business. "I called last night, and they said they would be free tomorrow. If possible, I'll pick up my parents tomorrow and bring them over to our house. They can meet my aunt and uncle and also give us a tour of our new house." Yi Qingye smiled gently, then spoke softly to Chen Yang. "Okay, of course, no problem." Upon hearing this, Chen Yang had no objection to Yi Qingye's arrangement. "So, what are your plans for this morning?" Chen Yang smiled and asked, "Didn't I tell you last night? I'm going to take you to visit my uncle and aunt and my cousins. We'll talk to them about the investment." Yi Qingye said with a serious expression. "Yeah, I thought you'd forgotten." Chen Yang chuckled and said, "How is that possible? But before that, we need to buy some gifts. We can't just visit empty-handed." Yi Qingye rolled her eyes at Chen Yang and said with a coquettish expression, "Of course, even if you hadn't said anything, I was already planning to do it this way." After Chen Yang finished speaking, he cleaned up the bowls, chopsticks, and trash on the table. Then he got up and walked towards the kitchen. A few minutes later, Chen Yang returned to the hall and looked at his parents, saying, "Dad, Mom, it's rare for you to come to Shanghai, so I'll take you out for a good look around. By the way, I'll buy you a few nice outfits." "No need. Aren't you and Qingye going to take care of some business? Your mother and I can take a taxi and wander around outside. We won't keep you two from doing your business." Chen Shan quickly declined. He didn't know why his son and girlfriend were visiting their elders, but he was very sensible and didn't want to cause them any trouble. Dad, this is a private villa area. It's hard to get a taxi here. Okay, I'll drive you out. Once we've had enough shopping, Kingya and I will head out first. You and Mom can enjoy your shopping outside, and then we can have a nice lunch at a restaurant. If you're not home by the time we're done, we'll drive over to pick you up. How about this? Chen Yang understood what his father was thinking. He pondered for a few seconds, then quickly offered his suggestion. No problem, we'll do it your way. Shanghai is a big city after all, and it's our first time here, so of course we have to explore it properly. This way, when you go back, you can have a proper talk with your eldest uncle and third uncle. After listening, Chen Shan nodded in satisfaction. After the family reached a consensus, they packed up and prepared to go out. Chen Yang drove the Maybach S680 out of the garage and parked it in front of the villa. Although Chen Shan and Wu Yan did not recognize the car model in front of them, they guessed from the logo and luxurious interior that the car must be expensive. Kingya, what kind of car is this? Is it very expensive? Wu Yan sat directly behind Yi Kingya. She leaned forward, close to Yi Kingya's ear, and whispered in a voice only the two of them could hear. Auntie, this car is called Maybach. It's a high-end sedan from Mercedes-Benz. When Chen Yang bought it, the market price was 2,999,900 yuan. Including insurance, car insurance, vehicle tax, etc., it cost more than 3 million in total. Yi Kingya smiled gently. She didn't intend to hide it from Wu Yan, so she answered truthfully. My goodness, this car is so expensive. A car costs more than 3 million yuan. How can an ordinary person afford it? Upon hearing the price, Wu Yan was instantly startled, her expression filled with shock. Auntie, this car is standard equipment for company bosses and wealthy families. With Chen Yang's abilities, owning a Maybach is not a difficult thing. Yi Kingya smiled, her words filled with pride. That's true. Who made my son the boss of a company now? It's not surprising that they drive such a luxury car. Wu Yan felt honored and said with a gratified expression, Tianheng International Trade Mall. It is the closest large shopping center to the OCT Villa area. With numerous brands located here, it's definitely a favorite shopping spot for wealthy people. It is known as a den of iniquity for the upper class. Chen Yang and Yi Kingya had been here several times before, so they arrived at the lobby without any problems. Chen Shan and Wu Yan, a married couple, were amazed by the mall's spaciousness and luxurious decor. Rows and rows of shops, with their dazzling and magnificent designs and decorations, are a feast for the eyes. Meanwhile, the hall was bustling with people, all dressed smartly and attractively. The scene before them not only gave them a strong visual impact, but also allowed them to see the prosperous side of the metropolis of Shanghai. Dad, Mom, let's go upstairs for a walk. Seeing the shock on his parents' faces, Chen Yang spoke softly. Good. Chen Shan nodded. Led by Chen Yang, the group took the elevator to the clothing sales area. Yi Kingya has a high level of aesthetic appreciation and excellent taste. She served as the image consultant and carefully selected and matched several outfits for Chen Shan and Wu Yan, a married couple. They have casual wear and formal wear, suitable for various occasions. Chen Yang also bought a few sets. After paying the bill, he left an address and asked the staff to deliver the clothes to his home later, so he wouldn't have to pick them up himself. Afterwards, Chen Yang and Yi Kingya went out of their way to buy some gifts. Examples include tobacco, alcohol, tea, bird's nest, nutritional supplements, facial masks, and skincare products. Seeing that it was getting late, he said goodbye to Chen Shan and Wu Yan and left first. Jinyu Bay. This is a neighborhood where wealthy people live. It offers a variety of luxury apartments, large single-level houses, and detached luxury villas with diverse unit types. The minimum price is 200,000 yuan per square meter, and it's all top-of-the-line, most luxurious decoration. Of course, some homeowners buy unfinished apartments and later hire renovation companies to decorate them according to their own preferred style. Those who become homeowners here are all leaders in their respective industries. Among them are top internet celebrities earning tens of millions of yuan a year in the live streaming industry, popular actresses in the entertainment industry, executives of listed companies, chairmen of groups, and wealthy young men. Yi Kingya's maternal uncle's family happens to live here. Moreover, they were staying at Jinyu Bay No. 1 Villa. An hour later, the Maybach arrived at the Jinyu Bay residential complex and parked at the entrance. Yi Kingya took out her phone and dialed her aunt's number. Auntie, we've arrived. Could you please tell the gatekeeper to let us in? After the call was connected, Yi Kingya spoke softly. Okay, no problem. My aunt responded with a soft, pleasant voice. Soon, the gatekeeper received instructions and allowed entry immediately. The car drove for a few minutes and arrived at Villa Number 1. Chen Yang and Yi Qingye got out of the car, took gifts from the trunk, and headed towards the villa gate. Inside the lobby, Aunt Kai Hui, dressed in a light purple cheongsam, looked dignified and elegant and was sitting on the sofa. Not long after, she saw Yi Qingye stride in with a handsome young man. "Auntie, you look even younger than I have in a while. It seems you've been taking good care of yourself lately." Yi Qingye placed the gift on the guest table, sat down next to Kai Hui with practiced ease, and praised her with a smile. "Our Zioya has such a sweet tongue. Every time she comes to our house, her aunt is very happy." Kai Hui took Yi Qingye's hand and placed it on her knee. He smiled kindly and said, "Auntie, why isn't my uncle home? Did he go to the company?" Yi Qingye scanned the house with her eyes, but did not see her uncle. So he asked aloud, "Yes, the company has been quite busy lately, with many projects requiring his personal oversight. So he left early this morning. But your uncle said he'll come back early at noon, so you can have lunch at home." Kai Hui nodded and said in a kind tone. After she finished speaking, she glanced at Chen Yang and scrutinized him for a while. Chen Yang was handsome and dashing. Just based on her appearance, Kai Hui was very impressed. "Zioya, is this the boyfriend you mentioned on the phone?" Kai Hui withdrew her gaze and asked Yi Qingye. "That's right, it's him. His name is Chen Yang, a top student in the finance department of Shanghai University, and he is a senior this year." Yi Qingye nodded with a smile. "The young man looks quite energetic and is also very handsome. Being with you makes us a perfect match, a handsome man and a beautiful woman. What does his family do?" Kai Hui immediately became interested. As an elder, I couldn't help but ask a few more questions. His father was a middle school teacher and his mother was a factory worker, but she no longer works. I went back to Chen Yang's hometown with him a few days ago and met his parents and relatives there. Before returning, Chen Yang specially bought a shop in the core area of his hometown county and opened a hot pot restaurant so that his elders could help run it. The business was booming on the opening day, with a single-day turnover of over 50,000 yuan. He used his connections to make some arrangements, and barring any unforeseen circumstances, this hot pot restaurant will bring his family a profit of 6 or 7 million yuan every year. Of course, his main purpose was to acquire some property for the family so that the family could have some income. He himself did not rely on this to make money. Yi Qingye got along very well with her maternal uncle's family. That's why she didn't intend to keep it a secret from her aunt. I told the other party everything that had happened to me in the past few days, as well as some inside information. A hot pot restaurant in a small county town can make 6 or 7 million yuan in profit a year. Your boyfriend is a shrewd businessman. He looks like a frail scholar. I never expected him to have such abilities. Kai Hui's eyes lit up immediately after hearing this. They couldn't help but think highly of Chen Yang's business acumen. I'm not sure how good he is at business, but I know he's an exceptionally good cook. The reason why the hot pot restaurant is so popular is mainly because he has the recipes for the hot pot soup base and dipping sauce. Yi Qingye explained with a smile. Then she continued, "Auntie, Chen Yang recently used this hot pot soup base and dipping sauce recipe to collaborate with my best friend Su Menjiao to open a hot pot restaurant called Xiangxiang in the food court. Business was booming on the opening day, and the daily turnover exceeded 100,000 yuan. Chen Yang insisted on giving me 30% of the shares in this store. He himself owns 30%, and my best friend Su Menjiao only owns 40%. Upon hearing this, Kai Hui's expression froze for a moment. Immediately, she pressed Yi Qingye for an answer, her voice filled with disbelief. Is his cooking skill that amazing? He can make a hot pot restaurant so popular with just a hot pot soup base and dipping sauce recipe. Certainly, Chen Yang's cooking is in no way inferior to that of a Michelin 3-star chef. My parents have eaten the dishes he cooked and were also impressed by his superb culinary skills. Yi Qingye looked excited, her face seemingly radiating pride. The more outstanding Chen Yang is, the better her eye for choosing men is. Chapter 166, Jinyue Bay No. 1 Villa, Aunt Kai Hui. Upon hearing this, Kai Hui's opinion of Chen Yang improved significantly. Now that he has met your parents, what are your parents' impressions of him? Did they agree to let you two continue dating? After a moment's hesitation, Kai Hui continued to ask Yi Qingye, Aunt, there's something I haven't dared to tell you. I'm pregnant. Speaking of which, Yi Qingye's voice unconsciously weakened. What, how could this happen so suddenly? Zioya, it's not that your aunt is criticizing you, but it's fine for you to date other people, but why don't you know how to cherish yourself? They even have premarital pregnancy. Do you know that if this gets out, it will have a huge impact on your reputation and marriage? Upon hearing this news, Kai Hui's expression changed drastically. For the privileged and powerful, it's not something shameful for a girl to have had a few relationships. But all of this is on the condition that no one is allowed to die. This is a principle, and even more so a bottom line. Once a woman becomes pregnant out of wedlock, no matter how powerful her background or family connections are, she will be secretly disliked or even scorned. No matter how powerful the Yi family's background is, Yi Qingya's chances of marrying into a good family will become extremely slim. This is what troubles Kai Hui the most. And this was a complete accident. However, it was precisely because of this incident that I realized just how good Chen Yang was to me. Besides, he's so outstanding, he's totally a good match for me. That's why I dared to take him to meet my parents. Seeing her aunt's worried expression, Yi Qingya felt a surge of warmth in her heart. They are her family after all, and at a time like this, they are thinking only of her. Zioya, do you mean your parents know you're pregnant? Kai Hui gradually recovered from her shock. He then immediately asked Yi Qingya. Yes, Chen Yang is outstanding. He not only won them over with his culinary skills, but also earned their recognition with his talent. That's why I went back to Chen Yang's hometown with him and brought his parents to Shanghai. Tomorrow, our parents will meet formally to discuss the engagement. Yi Qingya nodded with a smile. He spoke up to clarify things for his aunt. This is too sudden. You are the apple of the Yi family's eye, showered with love and affection since childhood. How could your parents bear to marry you off so quickly? Kai Hui simply couldn't understand this matter. Even though Yi Qingya is pregnant, modern medicine is so advanced. If Yi's parents object, the Yi family, with its capabilities, could easily get the top medical experts in the country to remove the child from Yi Qingya's womb while ensuring her health. In this way, Yi Qingya would no longer be subject to Chen Yang's control. However, things did not go as Kai Hui had expected. Instead, they went down the completely opposite path, going further and further away. They've even reached the point where both sets of parents meet and discuss marriage. This left Kai Hui completely baffled. Aunt, this was all my idea. Chen Yang is outstanding, far more outstanding than his peers. If I don't seize this opportunity to keep him firmly in my grasp, I'm afraid I'll regret it later. After all, it's really rare to find a man like him who is good-looking, talented, responsible, and has very positive character and values. Most importantly, I can't bear to abort my child. This is a decision I made after careful consideration. My parents are also very supportive of me, Yi Qingya said with a serious expression. Oh, what exactly are his abilities that make you think so highly of him? Kai Hui narrowed her eyes, her smile vanished instantly, and she asked Yi Qingya. It was as if Kai Hui couldn't sincerely wish her well, unless she gave a clear explanation. This is the main reason why I brought him here today to visit my uncle and aunt. Chen Yang is a top student in the finance department of Shanghai University. Unlike those theoretical types who only talk about things on paper, he has his own unique investment approach. He turned a little over 1 million yuan into hundreds of millions of yuan in the stock market and achieved financial freedom. After that, he started his own business, opened a financial investment company, and was appreciated by Qin Dong, the eldest son of the Qin family, from whom he received an investment of 500 million yuan. This proves that his investment prowess in the financial field is absolutely beyond doubt. Yi Qingya chuckled softly. Then, meeting his aunt's gaze, he said with a confident expression. Upon hearing this, Kai Hui's expression changed drastically. Her family is also in business, with businesses spanning various industries. She was clearly no stranger to financial investment. He single-handedly turned a little over 1 million yuan into hundreds of millions in profit. It's increased more than 100-fold. Such ability is simply breathtaking. This demonstrates just how formidable Chen Yang's investment capabilities are in the financial sector. Most importantly, Chen Yang is only in his early 20s and hasn't even graduated from university yet. This further illustrates that his future prospects are immeasurable, even if one's family background is ordinary. Becoming the son-in-law of the Yi family might not be a bad thing if one's personal abilities are too outstanding. Once the Yi family becomes his backer, his future development is destined to be smooth sailing. The most important point, Yi Qingya clearly liked Chen Yang very much. Under these circumstances, Yi's parents naturally couldn't bring themselves to break them up. After figuring this out, Kai Hui's smile became even brighter. Indeed, he is a very outstanding junior. Zioya, did you bring him along today because you need your uncle's help with something? Kai Hui is a smart person. He quickly grasped the key point and asked Yi Qingya, I'm not too clear about this matter. I think I'll let Chen Yang talk to my aunt himself. The words were spoken. Yi Qingya winked at Chen Yang. Seeing this, Chen Yang immediately understood and said to Kai Hui, Aunt, it's like this. Because I have some talent in financial investment, young Master Qin admires me and values me highly. So he specifically sought me out, wanting me to become a strategic partner of the Qin family. To put it bluntly, he wanted me to be deeply integrated with the Qin family. It's true that I have the ability in Shanghai's financial circle, but I am, after all, a newcomer with no foundation or background. Without a powerful backer, no matter how much you earn, you're nothing more than a piece of meat in the eyes of capital. Therefore, adhering to the principle of keeping the benefits within the family, I dared to ask Qingya to help introduce us and see if our two families can cooperate for mutual benefit. Upon hearing this, Kai Hui's eyes narrowed instantly. The Qin family is undoubtedly a top-tier wealthy family in Shanghai, with unfathomable heritage and strength. They are far superior to the Wen family. Even so, Qin Dong also extended an olive branch to Chen Yang and even personally recruited him. This alone is enough to show how outstanding Chen Yang is. Chapter 167, The Wen Family, Gentle and Kind. Capital seeks profit. Everyone knows this. Even the eldest son of the prestigious Qin family speaks highly of Chen Yang's investment abilities, which shows just how outstanding his skills are. Furthermore, considering what Yi Qingya just said, Chen Yang could earn hundreds of millions in profit with just over 1,000,000 yuan. It increased more than 100-fold. Given the size of the Qin family, investing hundreds of millions of yuan would be incredibly easy for them. If Chen Yang can still guarantee stable profits under these circumstances, the profits will reach an incredibly high figure. Thinking of this, Kai Hui's heart pounded violently. She took a deep breath, then stared intently at Chen Yang and asked, Chen Yang, tell your aunt the truth. How much profit did you make from the 500 million yuan investment Qin Dong gave you? Chen Yang smiled and replied truthfully, We maintained a profit of over 5% every day for several days. In the end, the total profit was over 20%. However, I had already discussed it with him beforehand. The profits I make from the investments I manage will be split 70-70. I own 70% and he owns 30%. Kai Hui's eyes widened instantly, her face filled with disbelief. She had considered that the profits could be very high, but I never expected it to be so high. In just 1 week, the profit margin reached over 20%. This kind of money-making speed can already outperform 99.9% of investment companies on the market. The most terrifying thing is that Qin Dong invested 500 million yuan. Chen Yang made 100 million yuan in less than a week through financial market investments. Such extraordinary investment talent is so extraordinary that if you didn't see it with your own eyes, you probably wouldn't believe it even if you told someone. What's even more shocking is that Qin Dong actually agreed to let Chen Yang take 70% of the profits. Chen Yang, you're amazing. After a while, Kai Huikai snapped out of her shock, gave Chen Yang a thumbs up, and expressed her heartfelt admiration. She has tried the financial markets, and more than once. But every time, they were treated like Chinese letter, a metaphor for being exploited. You lose money when you buy, but you'll definitely see a price increase when you sell. I just can't seem to grasp the right investment timing, and I've lost a lot of money over the years. That's why Kai Huikai knows all too well just how outstanding one's abilities are to make money in the financial market, and even make a lot of money. Clearly, Chen Yang belongs to this category of people. Yi's parents probably knew this, which is why they agreed to Chen Yang dating their daughter. They could even get engaged first, and then make further plans after the child is born. After all, Chen Yang is indeed a rare talent. Even if someone comes from an ordinary background, their outstanding personal abilities can make up for this shortcoming in a timely manner. As long as he has good character, sound values, is hardworking and ambitious, and has the Yi family as his backing, his future development and achievements are destined to be quite remarkable. Time flew by as the group chatted idly. Before we knew it, it was almost noon. A Bentley slowly came to a stop in front of the villa. The car door opened, and a tall, middle-aged man in a suit stepped out of the car. His name is Wen Liang, the second son of the Wen family, the current head of the Wen family and the maternal uncle mentioned by Yi Qingye. The Wen family has 2 sons and 2 daughters. Among them, the eldest daughter is Yi Qingye's mother, Wen Jai. The second daughter is Wen Liang, the third daughter is Wen He, and the fourth daughter is Wen Li. The Wen family has been in business for many years, and their roots have always been in the Jiangsu and Zhejiang area. However, in recent years, as the business has continued to expand, the company's industries have also developed in first-tier cities such as Shanghai, Shenzhen, and Chengdu. Ultimately, the Wen family split into 2 factions. One faction, led by Wen Liang, has been deeply involved in major first-tier cities such as Shanghai, Shenzhen, and Chengdu, continuously expanding the family's influence. Another faction, led by Wen He, stabilized its base in the Jiangsu and Zhejiang areas, advanced together and developed together. This was thanks to Yi Zhengyue's transfer from Kyoto to Shanghai to serve as the top official. Wen Liang's company business has been booming in the past 2 years, and new projects kept coming to him, making the company incredibly wealthy. Wen Liang was grateful for the influence the Yi family had brought him, so he often sent gifts to his eldest sister's family during holidays. He also doted on his eldest sister's daughter, Yi Qingye, even more. Therefore, when Wen Liang learned that Yi Qingye was planning to bring her boyfriend to visit, his first reaction was excitement. After finishing all his work at the company, he rushed home. That's why we see this scene before us. Wen Liang strode into the villa's hall, wearing high-end, handcrafted leather shoes. At a glance, he saw Yi Qingye chatting and laughing with her wife, Kai Hui, and a handsome young man. The scene looked quite harmonious. "Xiaoya, why did you suddenly decide to come see your uncle? As the saying goes, no one visits the temple without a reason. Have you gotten into some trouble that requires your uncle's help?" Wen Liang walked slowly to Yi Qingye and asked with a teasing smile, "Uncle, you're really wronging me. Do you really think I'm such a troublemaker?" Yi Qingye pouted, revealing an angry expression. "Your uncle was just joking with you. Don't take it so seriously." Wen Liang smiled slightly and said, "Uncle, please have a seat. Let me introduce you. He is my boyfriend, Chen Yang. We came here today specifically to represent Qingyang Financial Investment Company and discuss cooperation with my uncle. As the saying goes, don't let the good stuff go to outsiders. Chen Yang thinks we are family, which is why he shared such a good investment project with the Wen family. I hope that uncle will give a reply after careful consideration." Yi Qingye smiled and said to Wen Liang, "Oh, when did you start your own business?" Wen Liang asked curiously. "The company is owned by Chen Yang. I'm just acting as an intermediary connecting you with the company. As for whether or not to cooperate, that's my uncle's business. But we're family, so let's not be so formal. This is such a great investment opportunity presented to you, uncle. If you miss it, don't blame us, the younger generation, for not giving you a chance to cooperate in the future." Yi Qingye grinned and said slowly, "What investment project? Does it have to sound so mysterious to you?" These words were spoken. Wen Liang immediately became interested and asked another question out of curiosity. "Chen Yang, tell your uncle this." Yi Qingye winked at Chen Yang. Upon hearing this, Chen Yang nodded. He took out a stack of documents and contracts from a black briefcase next to him and handed them to Wen Liang. "Uncle, this is the supplementary agreement I signed with young Master Qin, as well as the relevant cooperation agreement. The next investment report is a detailed list of our Qingyang Financial Investment Company's actual transactions this week. I've had it all printed out so you can take a look. We can discuss cooperation after you've read all of this." Chen Yang smiled calmly and said in a neither humble nor arrogant tone. Wen Liang's gaze fell on Chen Yang's face, scrutinizing him carefully for a moment. Seeing that Chen Yang was calm and composed, showing no sign of restraint or nervousness, she secretly nodded in approval. At least in terms of mental fortitude, Chen Yang performed exceptionally well. Chapter 168. Wen Liang's appreciation, 1 billion yuan in exchange for 10% of the company's shares. Wen Liang is not only the head of the Wen family, but also the chairman of Tianyuan Group, overseeing thousands of employees. Having weathered countless storms, he has long since developed the aura of someone in a superior position. Ordinary people wouldn't dare to breathe loudly in his presence. Even senior executives of the group held him in high esteem. Chen Yang not only dared to meet his gaze, but was also completely unaffected by his aura, displaying neither arrogance nor servility. Based on this alone, Chen Yang is far superior to some other young talents. At least it made Wen Liang develop some goodwill towards him. Wen Liang took the stack of contracts, and documents handed to him by Chen Yang. Then I focused my attention on it and began to read it carefully. 5 minutes, 10 minutes. About 20 minutes later, when Liang Kai stopped what he was doing and stared at Chen Yang with an extremely serious expression. The man my niece has taken a liking to is truly extraordinary. Even Qin Dong, the eldest son of the Qin family, one of the top wealthy families in Shanghai, is impressed by your talent in financial investment. They're actually willing to give you 500 million yuan to invest as you please. Of course, you didn't disappoint him either. In just a few days, you made a profit of over 20% on your investment, even though, according to the agreement, he only gets 30% of the profits. But when you calculate it, he still made a profit of over 30 million. With such a highly profitable investment project, it's no wonder that Qin Dong would go to any lengths to tie you to the Qin family. Upon hearing this, Chen Yang's lips curled into a slight smile. Uncle, it seems that Qin Shao is unaware of my relationship with Qingya. Therefore, he was certain that I had no background or powerful connections. I had no other options but to cooperate with him. After all, those investors don't know my investment capabilities. Even if they do, they might not dare to risk offending the Qin family and get involved. In fact, it doesn't really matter who I cooperate with, as long as I ensure that my own interests are not harmed. The reason we approached the Wen family was entirely out of respect for Qingya, thinking that we should keep the benefits within the family. Secondly, we also thought that since we're all family, besides mutual benefit, at least we'd have someone to rely on in a critical moment. I can't guarantee that as their interests continue to grow, the Qin family won't develop even greater ambitions, choose to unilaterally break the agreement, and then harbor ill intentions towards me. I dare not gamble, nor do I want to gamble. The best way to prevent this is to bring together more forces to cooperate and create a balance of power. Chen Yang's eyes gleamed with a light that seemed to be called wisdom. He had considered the worst-case scenario in advance, so that in critical moments, one can avoid being controlled by others, withdraw in time, and protect one's own interests to the greatest extent. To enter the game with oneself, and to use all living beings as pieces. Every step he took seemed to be meticulously calculated. Such actions are undoubtedly the optimal solution given the current situation. But ironically, it produces the best results. If I hadn't heard it with my own ears. When Liang found it hard to believe that these words would come from Chen Yang, an ordinary person with no power, influence, or background. A prodigy, a genius. Chen Yang's control over people's hearts, his prediction of the situation, and his deployment and response strategies are simply amazing. With such strategic acumen, it would be a waste of talent not to pursue a political career. Chen Yang, you are outstanding. This is evidenced by your investment capabilities in the financial market. I've met many financial geniuses who achieved fame at a young age and became legendary overnight. Even so, they dare not guarantee 100% that every investment they make will be profitable and will not result in losses. I believe in your investment skills, but people aren't machines, especially when it comes to investing in the ever-changing financial markets. How can you guarantee that you'll win every single time you invest? When Liang remained silent for a long time, immediately he met Chen Yang's gaze and said with a serious expression. His concerns and worries were not without reason. After all, everyone knows that financial investment can bring in money quickly, but the risks behind it are equally huge. If you walk by the river often enough, you're bound to get your shoes wet. Any loss that occurs will not be a small amount. Not only will they lose all the money they've earned, but they might even go bankrupt. This kind of thing is nothing new in the financial industry. Others may have similar concerns and worries, but Chen Yang is different. He is known as the god of investment and is also blessed by the system. His investment in the financial market is like having a god's eye view. He can always anticipate crises and then avoid risks in advance. However, this is his biggest secret, and it is absolutely impossible for it to be revealed. Of course, even if Chen Yang told others, they might not believe him. Uncle, I can't guarantee it 100%, but I can minimize the risk of investment failure as much as possible. My strategy is to only earn profits that I can control, and never earn a penny beyond my understanding. Avoid greed, blindness, and impulsiveness. Always maintain a clear mind. This is the main reason why I have been able to win repeatedly in the financial markets. Even if the investment results in a loss, it won't be crippling. We can gradually make it back through subsequent transactions. Chen Yang smiled calmly and replied to Wen Liang in a composed tone. Well said. Calmness and prudence are the most valuable qualities of a financial trader. I know too many financial tycoons. Their failures are often due to their inability to control their greed and desires, which ultimately lead to market backlash and the destruction of their families. This is also the point that I, as Zioya's elder, most want to remind you of. I'm so glad you figured this out yourself. The look in Wen Liang's eyes when he looked at Chen Yang was no longer just one of admiration. They even seemed to value it to some extent. He knew better than anyone just how terrifying a person with a broad perspective and the power to manipulate the financial markets could be. This means that the financial markets will become his backyard. He can reap huge profits in the financial market whenever he wants, allowing his wealth to skyrocket in a short period of time. And such individuals, without any surprise, will eventually rise to the top ranks of the financial world. Alternatively, they could be recruited by the state and step in to rescue the market when the state needs them. Alternatively, they may be courted by capital and become influential figures abroad. Regardless of which choice he makes, Chen Yang is destined to become a very famous person. The prerequisite is that he can maintain such outstanding investment skills. Only then will it have value and be needed by capital and the country. Uncle, I know all of this. That's why I have a deeper sense of awe for the financial market. I give it my all in every trade and dare not be careless in the slightest. Chen Yang nodded, his face serious. The Qin family initially invested 500 million yuan, and after tasting the benefits, they will definitely make additional investments in the future. Considering your relationship with Zioya, and also because we value your personal investment capabilities, I, on behalf of the Wen family, will contribute 1 billion. There is only one requirement, which is to exchange it for 10% of the shares of Qingyang Financial Investment Company. I believe in your investment skills, and therefore I am also willing to believe in the prospects of your financial company. Consider this money as my uncle's strong support for you. Wen Liang pondered for a moment. Finally, a bold decision was made. Chapter 169, Powerful Willpower Gains the Support of the Wen Family. As soon as Wen Liang uttered these words, Kai Hui and Yi Qingye, who were standing to the side, looked shocked. Even Chen Yang was no exception. 1 billion yuan was used to acquire a 10% stake in Qingyang Financial Investment Company. This means that, in Wen Liang's eyes, the future valuation of Chen Yang's financial investment company will definitely not be less than 10 billion. Most importantly, even a powerful family like the Wen family would face considerable pressure if it wanted to come up with 1 billion yuan in cash flow at once. After all, the Wen family is running various projects at the same time, and they urgently need a lot of funds to keep their operations running. If not handled carefully, it could very likely have a negative impact on the Wen family. Uncle, don't be so impulsive. Although Yi Qingye believed in Chen Yang's abilities, but when she saw her uncle about to invest 1 billion yuan in Chen Yang, she was shocked and also a little scared. She feared that if Chen Yang didn't perform well once the cooperation started, the Wen family would be negatively affected. In this way, Yi Qingye, as the intermediary, cannot escape blame. Honey, Zioya is right. Chen Yang's investment ability is beyond doubt, but your cooperation can be developed gradually. There's absolutely no need to take such a big step. Kai Hui sat down next to Wen Liang, took his arm, and said with a worried expression, I know what you're worried about, but I can tell you definitively that the Wen family will definitely make a profit in this deal. An investment genius as outstanding as Chen Yang is a once-in-a-century talent. If he has ample funds on hand, then his subsequent investments will not be subject to others' control. Secondly, our Wen family also wants to use this method to publicly announce to the financial circle that Chen Yang's backer is the Wen family. In this way, a lot of unnecessary trouble can be saved. Wen Liang did this after considering many factors. As he himself said, he has a very high opinion of Chen Yang's potential. Don't be fooled by the fact that 1 billion yuan is a lot of money. However, the daily trading volume in the financial market is at least hundreds of billions. This money, if invested in market transactions, wouldn't make any waves at all. If Chen Yang is capable, it won't be long before he can double this money. At that time, the Wen family will be able to earn all the money back very quickly. Furthermore, as the valuation of Qingyang Financial Investment Company continues to increase, this 10% stake will become increasingly valuable. By all accounts, it doesn't seem like a losing proposition. This is the biggest source of Wen Liang's confidence to invest. Uncle, don't worry, I will definitely not let you down. This money can be paid in installments. The Wen family statement is of utmost importance to me. With the support of the Wen family, I will have more confidence when negotiating with the Qin family and other capital groups. Chen Yang looked grateful and said to Wen Liang, in the eyes of outsiders, Qingyang Financial Investment Company was established less than half a month ago, and apart from its registered capital, it has little value at all. Only by truly understanding the performance of the company's investment department in the financial market can one realize just how great the company's future development potential really is. At its core, it's not the company's key personnel, but Chen Yang himself. As long as he's in charge, the company will never lack profits. Earning tens of millions a day is not difficult at all. Investing in such a financial company means you have no fear of not making money. On the contrary, the biggest concern for those capital and financial institutions should be how to reach a cooperation agreement with Chen Yang. Chen Yang, I believe in your abilities. You are still young, and you have a long road ahead of you. Even if you experience failure, never be discouraged. You know, as the son-in-law of the Yi family, you have no shortage of wealth and connections. As long as Xiaoya is willing, all her relatives will be your strongest support. Wen Liang smiled slightly and comforted him. Thank you for your guidance, uncle. Chen Yang replied respectfully. Madam, it's getting late. Why don't you have the housekeeper start cooking? We'll have lunch at home. Wen Liang looked at Kai Hui and said softly, Okay, no problem. Upon hearing this, Kai Hui immediately nodded. She got up and walked towards the nanny's room, intending to tell the nanny. However, at that moment, Yi Qingya stood up and blocked Kai Hui's way. Auntie, there's no need to go to so much trouble. Didn't I tell you before that Chen Yang is a great cook? He's come all this way today, so I'll have him cook for you and your uncle. I guarantee you'll have a delicious meal. Yi Qingya revealed an eager expression. This isn't that inappropriate. No matter what, this is his first time visiting our home. We should treat him well, not let him cook for us. Kai Hui was somewhat tempted. However, I always felt that doing so would be impolite. After all, Chen Yang was a guest of the Wen family, and it was unreasonable to ask a guest to come to the host's house to cook. Auntie, Chen Yang is not a guest. He is my boyfriend. Sooner or later, he will be family with us. Moreover, when I took Chen Yang to visit my parents, I also had him cook a big feast for my parents. Don't you want to taste for yourselves just how delicious Chen Yang's cooking really is? I'm not exaggerating. The taste is absolutely no less than that of a Michelin 3-star chef. Especially his signature dishes, the taste is absolutely amazing. Ordinary people simply don't have the chance to taste them. Yi Qingya grinned and said, What happened? When Liang saw his wife Kai Hui and niece Yi Qingya standing to the side, whispering to each other. Thinking they had encountered some trouble, I stepped forward and asked, Uncle, don't let your aunt cook lunch. I'm planning to have Chen Yang show off his skills. His cooking skills are amazing. Everyone who has eaten his food raves about it. Yi Qingya looked excited and said to her uncle Wen Liang, Is it really as amazing as you say? Wen Liang's eyes brightened slightly. He hadn't expected Chen Yang to look so young. She's actually a versatile talent who can handle both formal and domestic tasks. For a moment, I also felt a little curious. Of course, my parents and I have all eaten his cooking, and it's really delicious. That's why I strongly recommended that he be the head chef at noon, so he can show off his skills and give you a delicious meal. After all, her uncle and aunt doted on Yi Qingya. It was precisely because she remembered their kindness that Yi Qingya wanted to share good things with them. If it were a relative with whom she had only a casual relationship and no regular contact, Yi Qingya would never have been so kind. All right, since you've said so, Xiaoya, then your uncle will believe you this time. Tell your boyfriend what ingredients he needs, and I'll have the housekeeper prepare them. Wen Liang pondered for a moment. He then nodded, agreeing to give Chen Yang a chance to showcase his culinary skills. Chapter 170, Showcasing Culinary Skills. Self-taught, terrifying learning talent. Seeing that her uncle had agreed, Yi Qingya smiled happily. She immediately went to Chen Yang's side and told him about cooking. Upon hearing this, Chen Yang was left speechless, unsure whether to laugh or cry. Why is it that every time I meet Yi Qingya, an elder, I am forced by her to show off my cooking skills? Of course, Chen Yang could understand. After all, his cooking skills have now reached an advanced level, and he also has the support of those 3 god-level recipes. The food they make is in no way inferior to that made by Michelin-starred chefs. In this situation, Yi Qingya definitely wanted him to make a big splash in front of the elders. It's not just about making the elders happy, but also about making herself look good. The better Chen Yang performs, the better Yi Qingya's eye for men is. In this situation, Chen Yang was bound to show off his skills. Okay, I promise you. At noon, I will personally cook for your uncle and aunt to enjoy truly top-notch cuisine. Chen Yang smiled and agreed. Upon seeing this, Yi Qingya excitedly gave Chen Yang a sweet kiss. After realizing what had happened, he secretly glanced at his uncle and aunt. After confirming that they hadn't noticed, he breathed a sigh of relief. Not long after, Chen Yang got up and went to the kitchen. I noticed that next to the kitchen utensils were ingredients that my aunt had just bought that morning. There is abalone, shark fin, chicken wings, hanging tenderloin, broccoli, carrots. Seafood is the most abundant, but there are also some meats and vegetables. Secondly, there is some stock in the refrigerator. It's more than enough to make a hearty lunch. Seeing this scene, Chen Yang immediately straightened his clothes, tied on his apron, and got into work mode. Rinse the ingredients thoroughly with clean water, then combine them together. Grab a cutting board and a knife and start chopping. Host detected cooking. Knife skills proficiency plus 500. Culinary skills proficiency plus 500. Advanced knife skills, 2500 10000. Advanced culinary skills, 2500 10000. A system notification sounded soon after. Chen Yang was completely unaware, his attention entirely focused on cooking. More than an hour later, soon a mouth-watering aroma wafted from the kitchen. At the same time, Yi Qingya immediately stopped talking to her uncle and aunt. He immediately got up and ran towards the kitchen. Chen Yang, is the food ready? I'm starving. Yi Qingya spread her arms and hugged Chen Yang's waist from behind, asking in a coquettish tone. Okay, everything's ready. We can eat now. You've come at the right time. Help me take all these dishes out. Chen Yang spoke gently, his face full of doting affection to Yi Qingya. No problem. Yi Qingya readily agreed. A few minutes later, one by one, the dishes, each with its own unique color, aroma, and flavor, and presented with exquisite plating, were placed on the dining table. Anyone who didn't know better would definitely think this was the masterpiece of a hotel chef. It looks excellent and smells wonderful. Just from these 2 points, you can tell that Chen Yang's cooking skills are quite good. Uncle Wenliang nodded slightly and commented with a serious expression. That's true. The presentation is also very exquisite, almost indistinguishable from what I eat at hotels. However, there's one thing. Chen Yang's dishes give me a better sense of wok aroma than those made by chefs in hotels. My aunt smiled and said objectively, Uncle, Aunt, please try some. Let's see if Chen Yang's cooking skills can bring you any surprises. Yi Qingya looked at them expectantly. Okay, then let's try it. After Wen Liang finished speaking, he picked up his chopsticks, took the braised pork in front of him, and started eating it. Rich but not greasy, with a sweet and fragrant flavor. This tastes several times better than any braised pork I've ever had before. Most importantly, the fresh and fragrant taste lingered on his tongue and lips, leaving him with an unforgettable aftertaste. Delicious, this flavor is absolutely amazing. Chen Yang, how come your cooking skills are so amazing? Did you learn from some master chef system? Otherwise, how could you make such delicious dishes? He chewed gently and heartily. After finally swallowing the food, he gave Chen Yang a thumbs up and asked excitedly, Uncle, you flatter me. I just really enjoy cooking, so I've been spending time honing my culinary skills in my spare time. When I have nothing to do, I learn to cook from some online chefs, and then I explore and improve the dishes according to my own taste. It's not as exaggerated as you say. Chen Yang looked humble. He touched his nose somewhat embarrassedly and replied, Self-taught. Upon receiving this reply, Wen Liang was stunned, his face filled with shock. He considered several possibilities, but he never expected that Chen Yang's culinary skills were actually self-taught. This is just too outrageous. Uncle, what Chen Yang said is true. His previous cooking was good, but it wasn't this good. But as he continued to learn, his culinary skills improved every day, and the taste changed dramatically. Especially his 3 signature dishes, which are scrambled eggs with tomatoes, braised pork, and garlic honey chicken wings. I dare say that the taste is absolutely the best I have ever eaten. It's just as good as the dishes made by the master chefs who prepare state banquets. On the side, Yi Qingya also chimed in to help Chen Yang, explaining the situation. Chen Yang, your learning talent is far superior to that of ordinary people. No wonder you have achieved such remarkable success in the financial field at such a young age. There is really no reason that can explain it other than absolute talent. Wen Liang couldn't help but sigh. Then he glanced at Kai Hui and said gently, "Madam, please try these dishes. They will definitely surprise you." Good. Upon hearing this, Kai Hui didn't stand on ceremony and started eating right away. The expression on her face changed from anticipation to enjoyment in less than a few seconds. Yi Qingye was right. Chen Yang's cooking skills are truly amazing. In comparison, the food her housekeeper cooked suddenly didn't taste so good. Xiaoya, now I finally understand why you insisted on letting Chen Yang show off his skills. It would be such a shame to miss out on something this delicious. Kai Hui said with relief. "Aunt, it's not that I'm not good enough. It's just that Chen Yang's cooking is too delicious. Now that I'm used to his cooking, I'm completely unmoved by other hotels and restaurants." Yi Qingye said frankly, "Xiaoya, these days it's so rare to find someone who's good at both social graces and domestic skills, especially someone who can also be such an outstanding man. You'd better hold on tight and don't let Chen Yang get away. Otherwise, you'll regret it for the rest of your life." Kai Hui spoke earnestly to Yi Qingye. "Auntie, don't worry, I'm not stupid. Chen Yang is so outstanding, and he's so good to me. How could I let him escape my grasp? Without his feeding, I don't even dare to imagine what my future would be like. With all these advantages, if anyone dares to steal my man, I'll fight tooth and nail to take her down." Yi Qingye replied domineeringly. Chapter 171. A good man can even make a princess in Beijing's elite circle swoon. Everyone enjoyed a delicious and satisfying meal. Only at this moment did Wen Liang and Kai Hui truly understand Chen Yang's culinary skills. He gradually understood why Yi Qingye cared so much about Chen Yang. After all, any woman would not miss out on a man like Chen Yang, who is handsome, talented, a great cook, and has excellent values and character. Even though Yi Qingye is the apple of the eye of the Yi family, and a princess of the Beijing elite. And without exception, Chen Yang, regarding the cooperation, I will personally visit your company after I finish my current work. We'll discuss the specific details in person. After the contract is officially signed, I'll have someone spread the word so that those fools won't dare to mess with you." Wen Liang escorted Chen Yang and Yi Qingye to the door. Before leaving, he gave me his final instructions. "Thank you, uncle," Chen Yang replied with a smile. Wen Liang is Yi Qingye's maternal uncle, and with this relationship, he is not afraid that the other party will go back on their word. Unless he doesn't respect Yi's father. Otherwise, they would never dare to tease Chen Yang and Yi Qingye. Therefore, the cooperation was already a done deal. "Be careful on your way back, drive slowly," Kai Hui asked with a concerned expression. "Uncle Aunt will be going now. Come visit my house another time when you have time." After greeting her uncle and aunt, Yi Qingye took Chen Yang's arm and walked towards the car. The two got into the car, started the engine, and the car gradually drove away. Watching the car drive away, Wen Liang withdrew his gaze and looked at his wife, Kai Hui, with a deep look in his eyes. "Madam, Xiaoya has excellent taste. I originally thought her boyfriend was just a flashy but impractical young man. Who would have thought that someone so young would have already achieved so much? They even have a partnership with the eldest son of the Qin family in Shanghai, and the investments they've discussed are often in the hundreds of millions. What's most remarkable is that Chen Yang came from a poor family with no background or connections, yet he managed to get to this point through his own outstanding talent and ability, and even won the heart of a beautiful woman. I've only ever read about this kind of thing in novels before. I never thought it would actually happen in real life." Kai Hui nodded. Then she slowly said, "Honey, there's something even more shocking that you don't know." "What's up?" Wen Liang frowned slightly and subconsciously pressed for an answer. "Xiaoya, she is pregnant. I estimate that it won't be long before she gets engaged to Chen Yang." Kai Hui's tone was somewhat agitated. "What, such a thing actually happened? Do my older sister and brother-in-law know about this?" Wen Liang's eyes were wide open, as if a fire of anger was burning within them. If he had known about this beforehand, he would never have given Chen Yang a kind look. If we don't teach this kid a lesson, he's not a Wen, and he doesn't deserve to be Yi Qingye's uncle. "Honey, don't get so worked up. This was an accident, and Xiaoya doesn't blame Chen Yang. On the contrary, she said that it was precisely because of this incident that she saw what kind of man Chen Yang really was. She became even more determined to continue her relationship with Chen Yang. Chen Yang has already met Xiaoya's parents and had a conversation with them. Although we don't know the specifics, judging from Xiaoya's reaction, the outcome doesn't seem too bad. Xiaoya has already gone back to Chen Yang's hometown and met his parents. The next step is to arrange for both sets of parents to meet and then discuss the engagement. If you want to know more about the inside story, call your older sister when you have time, and we can go to her house for a visit. By the way, let's talk about how much support we can provide for Chen Yang's career development, Kai Hui said with a serious expression. Hearing this, when Liang gradually calmed down, he felt that his wife made a lot of sense. They should indeed find out the truth before proceeding with the next step of their plan. If Chen Yang really gets engaged to Yi Qingye and becomes Yi's son-in-law, given the relationship between the Wen and Yi families, they will inevitably become Chen Yang's backers. Their cooperation will only deepen, given the investment strength demonstrated by Chen Yang's company. The Wen family's cooperation with it will undoubtedly be beneficial in the long run. Perhaps one could even earn unimaginable wealth from it. This is certainly a rare and joyous occasion for the Wen family. The Wen family can also use this relationship to completely bind themselves to Chen Yang. Under Chen Yang's influence, they can go higher and further. Even reaching the level of the Qin family is not certain. Just thinking about it filled Wen Liang with excitement. On the other side, after Chen Yang and Yi Qingye left the Jinyu Bay villa area, I called my parents. Upon inquiry, it was learned that they had spent the morning sightseeing, had just finished lunch, and had taken a taxi back to their villa in OCT. Chen Yang don't rush home yet. I'll call my uncle and aunt to see when they're free. If we're not busy right now, we'll just go and visit them. Anyway, it's been a long time since I've been to their house. Chen Yang was about to turn the steering wheel and drive towards OCT, overseas Chinese town. Suddenly, Yi Qingye, who was sitting in the passenger seat, took out her phone from her handbag and looked up a number while speaking to Chen Yang. Okay, I'll do as you say. Chen Yang nodded, feeling that there was nothing wrong with it. After all, the sooner he could visit and finalize the cooperative investment, the more confident he would be to negotiate with Qin Dong again. Certainly, even if things don't go as planned in the end, Chen Yang is still confident that he can maintain absolute control in negotiations with Qin Dong. There was nothing they could do. He was the real operator of the company. Faced with absolute power, any fancy tricks are nothing but illusions. To ensure mutual benefit and achieve long-term cooperation, whether it's the Qin family, the Wen family, or other capital or wealthy families, they all need to offer enough leverage to qualify for participation. As the initiator and player of the game, Chen Yang can maintain absolute initiative and control of the game in any situation. If you want to cooperate with him and make money together, you must follow his rules. Anyone who disobeys or harbors disloyal thoughts, no matter what the other party's identity or background is, Chen Yang will kick them out without hesitation. To put it bluntly, Chen Yang is using his investment talent to build his own network of contacts and relationships. This network of relationships allows everyone to obtain what they want as much as possible. It could be status, power, wealth, or connections. No one else would dare to do that, but Chen Yang dared to. His greatest confidence stems from his ability to bring substantial benefits to all his allies. Since ancient times, wealth has been a powerful motivator. Moreover, the benefits Chen Yang mentioned are not just a few hundred million. It's not just billions, but hundreds of billions or even trillions. If he wanted, the financial market would become his hunting ground, continuously supplying him with wealth. But the prerequisite is that he must have such extraordinary talent, and there must be a powerful force behind him to protect him. Otherwise, he would never have acted in such a high-profile manner. Chapter 172, Huizhou Junting No. 1 Villa, Uncle Lin Kun. The cousins that Yi Qingye mentioned were actually her grandmother's relatives. My grandmother's surname is Lin, and her family has been in business for generations. However, because of their patriotism and support for the army during the Red Revolution, the family was labeled as patriotic. Therefore, they were not purged in later movements. Furthermore, they often receive government support in their business endeavors. Over the years, business has been going smoothly. As the industry and scale continue to expand, the Lin family allocates a portion of its profits each year to contribute to national charitable and poverty alleviation efforts. In Kyoto, the Hayashi family is undoubtedly one of the top wealthy families. Following the economic reforms, the Lin family closely followed national policies, sending members to Shanghai to do business and establish a presence in various industries. But as outsiders, even with the support of the Kyoto family, they were no match for the local Shanghai clans. However, as it has developed to this day, its foundation and influence are absolutely among the top in Shanghai. Even local wealthy families in Shanghai wouldn't dare to provoke them easily, let alone offend them. Yi Qingye took the initiative to reveal some information about the Lin family to Chen Yang so that he would have a better understanding of the situation. Then he dialed his cousin Lin Kun's number. "Uncle Kun, it's me, Qingye. Are you busy right now? I'd like to bring my boyfriend to visit you, have some tea, and maybe discuss some work-related matters." The phone rang for a few seconds before being answered. Yi Qingye smiled slightly and greeted her uncle in a soft and pleasant voice. "Not busy. It's rare for Xiaoya to call uncle. No matter how busy I am, I will always make time to see you. Besides, I'm also very curious about who this boyfriend you're talking about is. How could he have caught your eye?" Lin Kun's cheerful voice came from the other end of the phone. "Then we'll visit your home now," Yi Qingye said with a smile. "Okay, you're welcome to come anytime." Lin Kun nodded, showing his welcome. After exchanging a few pleasantries, the call ended. Yi Qingye looked at Chen Yang, then gave him an address. Huozhu Junting. Chen Yang was not surprised by this. Her cousin's family is so rich that luxury villas are practically standard for them. Huozhu Junting is one of the most affluent residential communities in Shanghai. The price is not much lower than that of villas in OCT, overseas Chinese town. Fortunately, there wasn't much traffic on the road, and the Maybach cruised along smoothly. An hour and a half later, the car was parked at the entrance of Huozhu Junting residential complex. The property management staff had already received a call from Lin Kun, and upon seeing the license plate of the Maybach driven by Chen Yang, they immediately allowed him to pass. About 10 minutes later, the car slowly stopped in front of the Huozhu Junting number 1 villa. The car door opened. Chen Yang and Yi Qingye got out of the car and opened the trunk. He picked up the gifts he had prepared earlier and headed towards the villa gate. The two arrived at the hall and looked at the luxurious scene before them, a hint of amazement flashing in their eyes. The villa's design and decoration clearly demonstrate a great deal of effort. It is much more exquisite and sophisticated than the villa in OCT that Chen Yang bought. "Xiaoya's here, come over here and sit down." Sofa in the lobby. Upon seeing Yi Qingye and Chen Yang appear, Lin Kun immediately stood up and greeted them warmly. "Uncle Kun, I hope my visit has been uninvited, and I haven't disturbed you." Yi Qingye smiled shyly. In fact, she and Lin Kun did not have close contact in private. They only meet at home during holidays and festivals, and rarely have any contact in private. If it weren't for Chen Yang, she probably would have taken the initiative to visit him. "No, I'm genuinely happy that you've come to visit me. Are your parents busy with work lately? I was thinking that when they have some free time, I could come over to your house for a cup of tea, catch up with them, and chat about everyday things." Lin Kun said with a kind expression. "You know what my parents do. When they get busy, they're never home. I'm used to it. Fortunately, I live on campus, so I don't pay much attention to when they are at work or resting. If you're free to visit my home anytime, give me a call so I can let them know in advance, and we can see how things go." Yi Qingye smiled slightly and replied to Lin Kun. "Yes, I'm relieved to hear that." After receiving Yi Qingye's reply, Lin Kun nodded in satisfaction. Immediately he asked, "Xiaoya, when did you get this boyfriend? Why did you bring him to see your uncle?" Yi Qingye smiled brightly and quickly replied, "Uncle Kun, he is my boyfriend. His name is Chen Yang. We've been dating for a while now and have already met each other's parents. It won't be long before we get engaged. The reason I brought him here is that he started his own financial investment company. Because of his outstanding performance, he caught the eye of the eldest son of the Qin family, who insisted on having him as a partner. My boyfriend is very talented and capable, with exceptional talent in the field of financial investment. However, because he comes from an ordinary family and has no power or influence, he is afraid that the company will attract the attention of capital as it grows, so he is thinking of finding a backer to seek protection. I brought him to visit you because I believe in keeping the benefits within the family. I hope you can give him a chance to cooperate, out of respect for me." As soon as Yi Qingye finished speaking, Lin Kun then understood why Yi Qingye and Chen Yang had come. His expression changed slightly, and a look of shock and disbelief flashed in his eyes. Then he immediately pressed for an answer. "Xiaoya, do you mean that your boyfriend has achieved good results in the financial market, and then the eldest son of the Qin family took a liking to him and insisted on getting him to invest and cooperate with them?" Upon hearing this, Yi Qingye smiled and nodded. "Uncle Kun, that's correct. To tell you the truth, this morning I took Chen Yang to visit my uncle and aunt. We talked to them about the cooperation, and guess what? My uncle, Wen Liang, immediately decided to invest 1 billion yuan in Chen Yang's company to support his entrepreneurship. Lin Kun looked astonished. He knew very well who Wen Liang was. In a sense, their two families are related. But business is business. Relatives may be relatives. But if someone were to actually invest real money in Chen Yang's company, it certainly wouldn't be just because he's Yi Qingya's boyfriend. More importantly, Chen Yang himself must be capable, and the company must have a promising future for it to be possible for Wen Liang to invest such a large sum of money. Not only that, Lin Kun knew a little about Qin Dong, the eldest son of the Qin family. This person is not the kind of playboy who indulges in pleasure and idles away his time. On the contrary, he is an outstanding young man who is dedicated to his career and wants to get things done. Chen Yang couldn't possibly be a good-for-nothing if he could gain their approval. It's even less likely that Yi Qingya would willingly introduce him to resources or act as a go-between. Thinking of this, Lin Kun immediately glanced at Chen Yang and looked him up and down. After a moment, Lin Kun slowly asked, "Chen Yang, right? What is the name of the financial investment company you founded? What do you think is your company's biggest advantage? And what makes the eldest son of the Qin family and president Wen so optimistic about you, even willing to invest real money in you?" Chapter 173, Chairman of Weihai Group. We cannot show favoritism. Seeing that Lin Kun intended to test him, Chen Yang smiled faintly and replied neither humbly nor arrogantly. "Uncle Lin, the company I founded is called Qingyang Financial Investment Company. Although the company has not been established for long, the core members and investment team were all hand-picked by me, and each one of them is an elite in the financial industry. Secondly, the company's greatest advantage lies in my investment capabilities. I'm not bragging, but it's all reflected in the performance. If you don't believe me, you can take a closer look at my company's recent investment reports and my cooperation agreement with young Master Qin." As soon as he finished speaking, Chen Yang took out a stack of contracts and documents that he had prepared in advance from a black briefcase and handed them to Lin Kun. Seeing Chen Yang's serious and confident expression, Lin Kun felt a surge of curiosity. He reached out and took it, then began to look at it carefully. This glance was quite significant. His expression immediately changed after reading it. The reason is simply because the contents of the contract and Chen Yang's company's investment report are just too outrageous. If Yi Qingya hadn't personally brought Chen Yang to her home as a guest, and if the Yi family hadn't endorsed him, Lin Kun would have been tempted to think that some fraudster had tried to scam him. Such an astonishing rate of return on investment was something Lin Kun had never heard of before. No wonder Qin Dong and Wen Liang are both eager to cooperate with Chen Yang's company. If it were him, it would be 1 billion, let alone 500 million. As long as Chen Yang can maintain this level of investment, Lin Kun will go bankrupt to raise the money he needs, and then he can just lie back and count his money, never having to worry about food or drink for the rest of his life. "Zioya, are these contracts and financial statements genuine?" Lin Kun raised his head, looking at Yi Qingya with an extremely serious expression, and asked. No matter what, Yi Qingya still has to call him uncle, and the two families are relatives. She couldn't possibly lead an outsider to deceive her. Besides, this kind of scam is just too low class. With the Lin family's influence in Shanghai, they could easily uncover Chen Yang's background and company operations with just a few phone calls. If he dares to deceive Lin Kun, then Chen Yang's good days are over. "Uncle Kun, I know it's hard to believe at this time, but I can assure you that everything Chen Yang said is true, and I saw it with my own eyes. From Chen Yang's initial investment of over 1 million yuan in the stock market to his earnings of hundreds of millions, and then to the establishment of his company, the eldest son of the Qin family invited him to discuss cooperation. I know everything he has done. I can say that I have personally witnessed how Chen Yang, with his extraordinary investment talent, broke through the encirclement step by step and got to where he is today." As Yi Qingya said this, her gaze inadvertently drifted towards Chen Yang. A look of heartache and reluctance flickered in her eyes. Therefore, she did not hesitate to help Chen Yang when she had the ability to do so. "Okay, uncle believes you. If he is really as outstanding as you say, then the Weihai Group under my name will support him without reservation. In the future, if he needs funds or connections, as long as uncle has them, he will be there without hesitation." Lin Kun's level of support completely exceeded Chen Yang's expectations. It is even several times higher than Qin Dong and Wen Liang. With a market value of hundreds of billions, Weihai Group is the cornerstone of the Lin family's presence in Shanghai. The forces, funds, and connections involved behind it are incredibly complex. As the chairman of the group, Lin Kun has absolute say. His will is the attitude of Weihai Group. With the support of Weihai Group, at least in Shanghai, companies and enterprises with a market value of less than 10 billion yuan no longer even have the qualifications to compete with Chen Yang. Chen Yang's status and position will also rise accordingly, making him someone people dare not underestimate. Uncle Kun, you have a truly broad perspective. Chen Yang's uncle, Wen Liang, invested 1 billion yuan, acquiring a 10% stake in the financial investment company under Chen Yang's name. How about we consider becoming shareholders? Relationships are relationships, but business is business. We should all make money together. Yi Qingye smiled sweetly and then said to Lin Kun. Lin Kun's eyes brightened slightly. Immediately afterwards, his gaze met Chen Yang's. Chen Yang, how many shares are you willing to give up? On behalf of Weihai Group, I'll take as many as you have. Seeing Lin Kun's determined expression, Chen Yang knew that the other party was a smart person. It was immediately apparent that Qingyang Financial Investment Company had immeasurable future potential. Buying at this time will not only prevent you from losing money, but will also make you a fortune. Uncle Kun, you are Qingye's elder, and you trust me so much. Therefore, I am willing to give up 10% of the company's shares, so that you can have the same shares as my uncle. Chen Yang isn't stupid. It's impossible to sell such profitable shares at a low price. All he wanted was the Lin family's attitude, so that they would back him up. Now that the goal has been achieved, it is natural to share some of the profits with the other party. Therefore, this balance must be struck just right. After some deliberation, Chen Yang finally decided to let Lin Kun have a share, just like his uncle Wen Liang. In this way, we will not show favoritism and cause unnecessary conflicts. Okay, we'll do it your way. Lin Kun gave Chen Yang a meaningful look. Seeing how intelligent this guy is, I know that getting more shares from him won't be an easy task. The initial cooperation agreement has been reached, but Chen Yang has decided to postpone the specific signing date for a few more days. We'll sign the contract together once my uncle Wen Liang is done with his business. This also makes it easier to promote the product. After a pleasant discussion, we moved on to chatting about everyday things. It was getting late. Chen Yang and Yi Qingye then got up to say goodbye and drove back to their villa in OCT. The following morning, 9 o'clock, Finance Office, Shanghai University. The finance manager went to work as usual and was responsible for checking various financial expenditures and data as per usual practice. Just then, she discovered that the school's corporate bank account had received a large transfer. The transfer amount was 20 million yuan, and the transferer's remarks were, Chen Yang, Department of Finance, Shanghai University. The donation was to improve the school's educational facilities and provide scholarships for impoverished students. After confirming the details several times, the finance manager immediately called Principal Zhu. Principal, the school account has received a donation of 20 million yuan. The donor is Chen Yang, a student in our school's finance department. How do you think we should handle this? Upon hearing the news, Principal Zhu was overjoyed. He cleared his throat and then gave the order. Chen Yang told me about this a long time ago. He doesn't like to be high profile, so the donation ceremony was skipped, but our school still wants to publicize his good deeds as much as possible. In that case, you can have the publicity department create a special section for Chen Yang on the official website, so that all teachers and students in the school know about this. Upon hearing this, the finance manager quickly replied, Yes, Principal, I'll take care of it right away. An hour later, a new information section has appeared on the official website of Shanghai University. The document details how Chen Yang devoted himself to his studies after enrolling in Shanghai University through self-study, winning the school scholarship for 4 consecutive years, and maintaining his position as the top student in the finance department. During this period, they also received various awards and certificates for extracurricular activities. Later, due to his excellent academic performance, he was recommended by the school to interview with major financial companies and received several job offers. He himself demonstrated exceptional financial investment talent, earning his first pot of gold. The donation was made to repay the school and the teachers for their guidance. Chen Yang was portrayed as an inspirational academic achiever and an outstanding graduate of Shanghai University who never forgot to be grateful even after achieving success. Chapter 174. The 20 million donation arrives, and both sets of parents officially meet. At the same time, the official website of Shanghai University also liked and shared this promotional message. Some students who like to browse forums and official websites quickly discovered this message. While they were shocked, they forwarded the message to their own group chats on their phones. Through sharing and dissemination by many people, the news of Chen Yang's donation to the school spread like wildfire among the faculty and students of Shanghai University. Wow, are all the senior students in our finance department this outstanding? Before even graduating, they've already used all their knowledge to earn their first pot of gold in the financial market. They even thanked the school and teachers for their support and generously donated 20 million yuan. It's like a fantasy novel coming to life. This is just too amazing. I know this senior Chen Yang. He is super handsome, not only has excellent grades, but also has a very high reputation in private. He is the undisputed male god of our finance department. In the past, many beauties from other departments had confessed their feelings to Chen Yang. Unfortunately, he was focused on his academic performance and part-time jobs, so he politely rejected them all. And he did so in a very gentle way. Who is this handsome, talented, and virtuous man being pursued by? This year, my senior is graduating. I never expected him to pull such a stunt before graduation. It's truly admirable. Do you guys remember when senior Chen Yang participated in the school's graduation defense a while ago and walked hand in hand with Yi Qingye, the campus beauty of the foreign languages department on campus? Wouldn't you call that his high-profile public announcement? I remember. I thought senior Chen Yang was trying to climb the social ladder by dating campus beauty Yi and save himself 20 years of hard work. But I never expected him to be so outstanding. He and campus beauty Yi are such a perfect match. I admit that school beauty Yi is very beautiful, has a great temperament, and comes from an extraordinary family. But senior Chen Yang is no less impressive. He is handsome and talented, and most importantly, he has already built a successful career through his own efforts at a young age. It's not certain who is marrying above their station when they're together. As the number of messages on the forum increased, Chen Yang and Yi Qingye's reputation at school grew stronger and stronger. Gradually, almost the entire school's teachers and students knew about this gossip. Chen Yang was completely unaware of this. He transferred some of the funds from his investment account to his own bank card for daily living expenses. I plan to invest the remaining money after the stock market reopens. It was evening. Chen Yang called his driver, Lin Yuan, and asked him to pick up Yi Zhenghua and Wen Jai. After confirming that they had boarded the car, he took Yi Qingye out to buy some high-end ingredients. 3 pounds of Australian lobster, king crab, bluefin tuna, top-grade truffles, caviar, Kobe beef. After spending a large sum of money to buy ingredients, they rushed home. Before Yi's parents arrived at the OCT villa, Chen Yang wanted to prepare the lavish dinner they would have that evening. The advanced culinary skills Chen Yang acquired not only included Chinese cuisine, but also Western cuisine and various foreign cuisines. He just personally prefers Chinese food, so he usually cooks it more often. And tonight, it was a formal meeting between Chen Yang and Yi Qingye's parents, a very solemn occasion. Under these circumstances, Chen Yang naturally had to provide the highest level of hospitality. In terms of ingredients, we must be more particular. Host detected cooking. Knife skills proficiency plus 1000, culinary skills proficiency plus 1000, advanced knife skills 3500 1000, advanced culinary skills 3500 1000. Chen Yang planned to cook a seafood feast, but considering Yi Qingye's pregnancy and her own tastes, he also specially prepared a few Chinese dishes that she particularly liked. He had just finished when the doorbell rang at the villa. Yi Qingye ran over and excitedly shouted, "Chen Yang, my parents have arrived. Let's go out and greet them." "Okay, I'll be right there." Chen Yang responded. She took off her apron and then walked towards the door. Outside the villa, Yi Zhenghua and his wife, Wen Jai, had just stepped out of the car. After ringing the doorbell, I couldn't help but look around. This OCT is a top-tier affluent area in Shanghai. Chen Yang and Qingye bought a house here and settled down. It seems they are living a pretty good life. Yi Zhenghua smiled and said, "With such a talent for investing, making money is really not a difficult thing for Xiao Chen. Buying a luxury villa in OCT is not a problem at all. It's perfectly understandable that young people know how to enjoy life." Wen Jai smiled gently and replied. As the two were talking, the door was opened the next moment. Chen Yang and Yi Qingye, as well as Chen Shan and Wu Yan, were all standing at the door to greet them. "Dad, Mom, you're here." Yi Qingye stepped forward and gave each of her parents a hug, her expression filled with excitement. "Honey, your mom and I have already promised to meet Chen Yang's parents, so we will definitely be there on time." Yi Zhenghua's gaze fell on his daughter's face, and he said with a serious expression, "Dad, thank you." Yi Qingye hugged her father's arm and said coquettishly, "Uncle, Auntie, please come in first. Let's sit down and chat." Chen Yang smiled faintly. "Good." Yi Zhenghua and his wife, Wen Jai, exchanged a glance. Afterwards, the group sat down on the sofa in the villa's lobby. "Uncle, Aunt, let me introduce myself to you. This is my father, Chen Shan, and this is my mother, Wu Yan. Dad, Mom, these two are Qingye's parents." Not long after everyone was seated, Chen Yang took the initiative to introduce the elders of both sides. At this time, Chen Shan and Wu Yan were already deeply impressed by the aura emanating from Yi Zhenghua and Wen Jai. Just by looking at them, you can tell that Yi Qingye's parents are no ordinary people and have quite a background. "Hello." Chen Shan looked somewhat reserved. However, she still mustered up her courage and greeted Yi Zhenghua and Wen Jai. "Brother Chen, seeing is believing. Ever since I learned that Chen Yang was dating my daughter, I've wanted to meet you and discuss with you how you raised your child to be so successful." Yi Zhenghua has seen countless situations and met countless people. With just one glance, he could tell that Chen Shan was nervous and uneasy. Instead of projecting the aura he usually displays at work, he puts on a kind smile and tries to act like an ordinary parent, using casual conversation to build rapport. As expected, hearing Yi Zhenghua's words, Chen Shan breathed a sigh of relief, and the pressure suddenly lessened considerably. "Brother Yi, I'm so sorry to be visiting you and your wife so late. To be honest, if my son hadn't taken Qingye back to his hometown, my wife and I would probably still be in the dark. I never imagined that this kid would do such a terrible thing to your precious daughter without saying a word. It's all our fault for not raising him properly, which led to this happening. That's why we came all this way to apologize to you too." Chen Shan looked ashamed, and his tone revealed sincere apology. "No matter how you put it, ultimately, Chen Yang bears the majority of the responsibility for this matter. After all, Yi Qingye was pregnant with his child. That was an indisputable fact. Chapter 175, in principle, my husband and I agree. However, the marriage needs the approval of Mr. and Mrs. Yi. Chen Shan is a reasonable person. He knew deep down that regardless of who was right or wrong in this matter. But in the end, it was undoubtedly Yi Qingye who suffered the greatest harm. In particular, she is now carrying the Chen family's bloodline. Based on this, Chen Shan couldn't help but feel somewhat guilty when facing Yi Zhenghua and Wen Jai. In terms of attitude, one should naturally be more tactful. Otherwise, if he insists on opposing Chen Yang and Yi Qingye being together, the situation will become very difficult. It's not surprising that Chen Shan took this approach to avoid such a situation. This brought Yi Zhenghua and Wen Jai a great deal of comfort. From this alone, they could tell that Chen Yang's father was a kind person. In this way, even if her daughter marries into the Chen family, she won't worry about her being bullied. "Brother Chen, you're exaggerating. They are both young and don't know how to prioritize. They both bear some responsibility in this matter. But what has happened is already done. What we need to do now is not to find out who is responsible, but to find a way to resolve this matter properly and minimize its impact. Please don't let this incident affect their future lives." Yi Zhenghua spoke calmly, urging Chen Shan to calm down and think about how to resolve the matter. Upon hearing this, Chen Shan quickly nodded in agreement. "That's right, that makes sense. Brother Yi, to be honest, my husband and I really like your daughter from the bottom of our hearts. She is not only beautiful and elegant, but also has a good personality, is well-educated, reasonable, gentle, and virtuous. I know that your Yi family is rich and powerful, while our Chen family is just an ordinary family. It is really wishful thinking for you to marry your daughter to my son. But since things have come to this, I still want to swallow my pride and try to fight for my son. You can make any requests you have, and we will do our best to meet them." Now that both sets of parents had met and the topic had come up, Chen Shan decided not to hide anything. After taking a deep breath, he mustered his courage and spoke to Yi Zhenghua and Wen Jai. "Brother Chen, to be honest, my Yi family is a prestigious family in the capital with a profound heritage. Qingye is my granddaughter's most beloved granddaughter, so her marriage not only requires the consent of my husband and me, but also the approval of the two elders. In principle, my husband and I are quite satisfied with Chen Yang's performance in all aspects and do not object to their engagement. However, if they want to actually get married and become a legal couple, they can't avoid getting past Kingya's grandparents. My idea is to have Kingya take Chenyang back to Kyoto when she has some free time. After getting their consent, we can hold a simple engagement banquet so that Kingya's baby can be born legitimately. It's not too late to hold a grand wedding ceremony later. This was a decision Yi Zhenghua made after careful consideration. After all, marriage is a major life event and should not be taken lightly or hastily. Even though Chen Yang and Yi Qingya already have a child, the necessary steps and procedures still cannot be omitted, in order to avoid the news getting out and others laughing at the Yi family. Son, what do you think about this? Chen Shan looked at Chen Yang, seeking his opinion. Dad, let's do whatever Uncle Yi decides. Chen Yang smiled and readily agreed. As long as he can stay with Yi Qingya, and they are not separated, let alone meeting Yi Qingya's grandparents, he would never even flinch at a more difficult request. Okay, as long as you have your own opinion. Your parents can't help you with this, but we will do our best to support you in whatever way we can, Chen Shan said with a serious expression. Thank you, Dad. Chen Yang responded with a smile. Chen Yang, you don't need to be too nervous. Although the old man and woman are old, their thinking is not futile. I believe that with your abilities, you can definitely pass their test easily and get them to agree to let you get engaged to Qingya. Wenjai smiled kindly and spoke softly to Chen Yang. Auntie, I will do my best and will never let you down. Chen Yang knew that his marriage to Yi Qingya was now just one step away from being finalized. But as Yi Zhenghua said, if he wants to truly become the Yi family's son-in-law, he not only needs the consent of the couple, but also the approval of Old Master Yi and Old Madam Yi. Otherwise, the Yi family would never acknowledge Chen Yang's identity. In this way, it's simply impossible for Chen Yang to access the Yi family's core resources. In the eyes of the Yi family in Kyoto, he would always be an outsider. Even more so, Grandpa Yi and Grandma Yi would go to any lengths to interfere in Chen Yang and Yi Qingya's marriage. When that time comes, Chen Yang will be completely unable to resist. Fortunately, he got a chance to talk to them. Chen Yang believed that with his current abilities, as long as he performed consistently, he would definitely gain the approval of the Yi family elders. After all, compared to his peers, Chen Yang's excellence is absolutely unique. In addition, he and Yi Qingya were mutually in love. As long as you perform well, you will eventually gain their appreciation and respect. Then the engagement will naturally fall into place. Yes, we all believe you can succeed. After all, your parents dote on Qingya the most. With Qingya speaking up for you, you've already succeeded halfway. Add to that your own talent and ability, and there shouldn't be any problems. Yi Zhenghua smiled and comforted him. After the discussion about Chen Yang and Yi Qingya's marriage ended, the atmosphere gradually shifted from serious to relaxed. The elders of both families were chatting about everyday matters. When Chen Shan and Wu Yan learned that Yi Zhenghua's true identity was actually the top leader of Shanghai, their expressions were incredibly shocked. Wen Zhai's identity is also quite remarkable. She is the vice president of the Shanghai branch of Huaxia Bank. They never dreamed that Yi Zhenghua and Wen Zhai, the couple, would have such a powerful background. No wonder Chen Yang was reluctant to reveal too much when they asked his son before. They must be worried that they would feel particularly pressured if they met Yi Qingya's parents. You need to know, the highest-ranking official Chen Shan and Wu Yan had ever met was the vice mayor of Nanyang City, who came to congratulate Chen Yang when he became the top science student in Nanyang City. Yi Zhenghua's administrative rank is 2 levels higher than that of the other person. If it weren't for Chen Yang and Yi Qingya's relationship, Chen Shan and Wu Yan would probably never have had the chance to sit so close to Yi Zhenghua and chat over tea. Chen Yang also noticed his parents' restraint. He checked the time and then said, Uncle Yi, Aunt Wen, Dad, Mom, it's getting late. I've already prepared the food. Let's go eat there so it won't get cold and taste bad. No problem, I'll do as you say. Upon hearing that Chen Yang had prepared the meal, Yi Zhenghua's eyes lit up slightly. Ever since he ate a meal cooked by Chen Yang, he felt that food in the company cafeteria had lost its flavor. It's not that the cafeteria chef's skills have gotten worse, but compared to Chen Yang's cooking skills, the difference is just too obvious. So much so that he found it utterly boring. Chapter 176, Top-Tier Delicacy, 1 bite and no one squeaks a sound. A display of tea art, impressive and unfathomable. Yi Zhenghua wasn't the only one who felt this way. The same goes for Wen Jai, especially after tasting Chen Yang's cooking, unless you go to a star-rated hotel specifically to ask the chef to make his signature dish. Otherwise, the taste of those dishes will ultimately be much worse. Therefore, Yi Zhenghua and Wen Jai were honestly looking forward to it when they learned that Chen Yang would be cooking for them that night. Not long after, the group moved from the lobby to the restaurant. A large dining table that can seat 10 people, paired with luxurious leather chairs, looks very stylish. Yi Zhenghua, Wen Jai, Chen Shan, and Wu Yan, the four elders, took their seats one after another. Chen Yang immediately set out the bowls and chopsticks. Moreover, considering that Yi Zhenghua and his father Chen Shan enjoyed drinking, he specially opened a bottle of vintage Maodai, poured it into a wine cup, and handed it to them. Uncle Yi, Dad, this wine was specially prepared for you. In addition, he also made his own plum juice. After pouring the plum juice into a glass, I presented it to Wen Jai, my mother, and Yi Qingya. Auntie, Mom, Qingya, this is for you. Seeing how thoughtful Chen Yang was, the elders all smiled with satisfaction. Chen Yang, thank you for your hard work. Yi Qingya took Chen Yang's hand and made him sit next to her, then whispered something to him. It's not hard work, it's all what I should do. Tonight, I'm making sure your parents and my parents have a great time eating and drinking. For Chen Yang, today is a very meaningful day. The two sets of parents met for the first time to discuss his marriage with Qingya, although they couldn't finalize the decision and set a date for the engagement. However, at least a concrete solution was provided. Chen Yang believed that as long as he put in more effort, he would definitely be able to win the heart of his beloved soon. Uncle Yi, Aunt Wen, Dad, Mom, Qingya, and I specially bought these ingredients. Most of the dishes are seafood with only a few Chinese dishes. I don't know if they will suit your taste. You guys try it first. Chen Yang looked up and gazed at Yi's father and mother, as well as his own parents. Upon hearing this, Yi Zhenghua and Wen Jai, along with Chen Shan and Wu Yan, all focused their attention on the dining table. Each prepared ingredient, beautifully plated, is incredibly tempting. After a short while, they finally succumbed to the temptation of the food and began to eat. King crab and Australian lobster, these expensive seafoods, can be eaten simply by dipping them in sauce after being processed by Chen Yang. The ingredients are fresh and delicious. The texture is tender and smooth, and there is even a hint of sweetness. This taste is simply divine. It's so delicious that once you start eating it, you just can't stop. Yi Zhenghua originally wanted to say a few words of praise, but he found that his wife, Wen Jai, was eating without saying a word. His hands and mouth never stopped moving. However, the portion sizes of top-quality delicacies on the table have visibly decreased. Not only her, but even Chen Yang's parents were attracted by the delicious food in front of them and ate heartily. Yi Zhenghua quietly joined the food cleanup campaign. Seeing everyone wolfing down their food, Chen Yang felt very satisfied. Really? Whether you're a high-ranking official or an ordinary citizen, everyone is equal when it comes to top-quality cuisine. Everyone turned into a foodie and ate to their heart's content. Chen Yang took a moment to peel the shrimp and put the shrimp meat into Yi Qingya's bowl. Eat more to replenish your nutrition. Good. Upon seeing this, Yi Qingya smiled. She tasted the sweetness in her mouth and felt a sweetness in her heart. I ate dinner in less than half an hour. The feast that Chen Yang had carefully prepared was devoured in no time. After everyone had eaten and drunk their fill, they leaned back in their seats with comfortable expressions. Chen Yang then tidied up the dishes and chopsticks, took them into the kitchen, and then sorted the kitchen waste and poured it into the trash can. After that, I put all the dishes and utensils into the dishwasher. After spending some time cleaning the kitchen, I picked up a tablecloth and wiped the dining table clean. Yi Qingya stood behind Chen Yang, watching him do his chores methodically. Then she said softly, Chen Yang, I think we should hire a housekeeper for the house. I'll help with cleaning every day, buying and washing vegetables, washing dishes and chopsticks, cleaning the kitchen and doing other odd jobs. At least I can help you share the burden. Upon hearing this, Chen Yang thought it was a very good suggestion. These tasks, though not physically demanding, are tedious and time-consuming. Besides, the house is so big, it's obviously unrealistic to expect him to clean it himself. Secondly, Chen Yang goes to work during the day, leaving Yi Qingya alone at home. She is currently pregnant and needs someone to take care of her at all times. With a nanny to help him take care of Yi Qingya, he can feel much more at ease. Okay, I'll go find a few later. Then I'll have you interview them in person. You can choose the one who's a good fit and keep him her. Chen Yang nodded with a smile. No problem, Yi Qingye responded. 15 minutes later, Chen Yang arrived at the hall. Seeing that his parents were chatting with Mr. and Mrs. Yi about everyday matters, he did not interrupt. Instead, he quietly boiled a pot of water, took out tea leaves from the table drawer, and prepared to make tea for them. Westlake Longjing tea. This is tea that Chen Yang bought earlier and kept at home specifically to entertain guests. Host detected brewing tea. Tea ceremony proficiency plus 200. Tea ceremony beginner level, 205,000. Just then, suddenly, a virtual light screen appeared in front of Chen Yang, which recorded his tea ceremony level and proficiency in detail. The system's voice also rang in my ears. Chen Yang then remembered that he had specially learned the art of tea ceremony in order to please Yi Zhenghua. It's just that I've never had the chance to show it off. Unexpectedly, as he prepared to brew tea, his skill level began to increase on its own. Otherwise, Chen Yang would have almost forgotten that he possessed such a skill. The tea ceremony process is actually quite simple, consisting of preparation, brewing, serving, and tasting. Chen Yang first prepared the tea leaves, then warmed the cups and teapot. Then, the tea leaves are placed into the teapot with elegant movements, accompanied by some fancy gestures. After the initial infusion, pour the water out quickly to remove impurities or unprocessed residue from the tea leaves. This also awakens the tea leaves and promotes the subsequent extraction of tea flavor. Timing is crucial to avoid nutrient loss. Then, when pouring water again, the Phoenix 3 nods technique is used, where the spout nods up and down 3 times to even out the tea soup and to greet the guests. Next, use the lid to skim off any foam to keep the tea clear. After covering the pot with the lid, pour boiling water over the pot to lock in the aroma. Chen Yang's execution of this process was so smooth and seamless that it was a pleasure to watch. Yi Zhenghua stared wide-eyed at Chen Yang in utter shock. Chen Yang, you actually know about tea ceremony. Moreover, the skill level is quite good, and it looks very entertaining. Chen Yang smiled and nodded. I know a little bit. I heard Qingye mention before that Uncle Yi likes to drink tea, so I specially learned how to make it. My skills are not yet proficient compared to those professionals. I'm just at the beginner level. Please forgive me for showing off my limited skills in front of Uncle Yi. Yi Zhenghua quickly shook his head. No, your technique and skill have already reached a high level. Although not comparable to professional tea masters, among amateur tea masters, he can be considered a master. These words were spoken. This surprised everyone present, who would have thought that Chen Yang would discover such an art to brewing tea. It's truly incredible. However, to be fair, Chen Yang's actions just now did give people a feeling of being both incomprehensible and impressive. At least in the eyes of these laymen, it performed exceptionally well. Chapter 177, having many skills is never a bad thing. Is it time to go to Kyoto to celebrate Grandpa Yi's birthday? Now, Yi Zhenghua and Wen Jai looked at Chen Yang with increasing satisfaction. Not to mention that Chen Yang's looks, talent, and character are all excellent. His interpersonal skills and learning ability also surprised them. The more you learn about Chen Yang, the more you realize what an outstanding child he is. No wonder her daughter was so infatuated with Chen Yang that she insisted on marrying him. Chen Shan and Wu Yan, on the other hand, genuinely believed that their son was exceptionally talented and learned everything very quickly. Yi Qingye looked at Chen Yang with pride and a hint of admiration in her eyes. Chen Yang is enjoying this feeling. He served the tea to Mr. and Mrs. Yi, as well as to his parents. Uncle Yi, Aunt Wen, Dad, Mom, have some tea. Chen Yang, I want a drink too. Seeing this, Yi Qingye said in a coquettish tone. You should know that she usually prefers to drink plain water rather than tea. But at this moment, seeing Chen Yang's outstanding tea skills, I also felt curious. With Chen Yang using such professional techniques, the tea he brews must taste delicious. It was with this in mind that Yi Qingye took the initiative to make the request. Okay, no problem, I'll make it for you right now. Upon hearing this, Chen Yang immediately responded with a smile. The tea ceremony was once again performed with skillful technique, making it a delight to watch. Soon the tea was brewed and served to Yi Qingye. Here, this is for you. A smile appeared on Yi Qingye's lips, and she immediately picked up her teacup and began to sip. The tea wasn't as bitter as she had imagined. Instead, it had a pleasant aftertaste. The aroma of Westlake Longjing tea filled her mouth. It tastes so good. It turns out that it wasn't that I didn't like drinking tea, but that the tea I drank before wasn't fragrant enough and my brewing technique was unprofessional, which caused the tea to lose its flavor, making it taste so bitter. The taste is completely different from what I've had before. Yi Qingye stared wide-eyed and said incredulously, "It's not as exaggerated as you say." Chen Yang said modestly, "It's true. The tea you brew must taste better than the tea brewed by others." Yi Qingye's expression was serious, and she couldn't deny it. At this moment, Yi Zhenghua slowly spoke up. "Chen Yang, Zioya is right. Your tea brewing technique is more professional, which is why you can better preserve the aroma of the tea leaves. It makes the tea less bitter and gives it a sweeter taste." Chen Yang was taken aback. Clearly, the tea ceremony skills the system bestowed upon him were quite sophisticated. "Really, I'm not quite sure. After all, I don't usually drink tea. I'm just learning tea ceremony for fun, so I can use it on certain occasions. Anyway, it's always good to have more skills." Hearing this, Yi Zhenghua nodded with deep feeling. It's always a good thing for young people to learn more. After all, you never know when it might come in handy, and it can always play an unexpected role at crucial moments. By the way, let me remind you that Grandpa Qingye is particularly fond of tea. Not only that, he also enjoys playing chess and drinking wine. If you can cater to their preferences, you'll definitely achieve twice the result with half the effort. Upon hearing this, Chen Yang smiled and replied, "Thank you for the reminder, Uncle Yi." In the blink of an eye, it was 9:30 p.m. Yi Zhenghua and Wen Jai bid farewell. Yi Qingye wanted to persuade her parents to stay at the villa for one night. After all, there are so many guest rooms here, and they are spacious enough. However, Yi Zhenghua still politely declined. "No, Dad has work to do when he gets home tonight, so I won't stay here and bother you. The day after tomorrow is your grandfather's birthday. You will go back to Kyoto to visit him on behalf of your father and mother. Also, please bring back the gift we prepared." Yi Zhenghua reached out and gently patted Yi Qingye's shoulder, speaking softly. "Dad, do you mean I should go back to Kyoto with Chen Yang tomorrow? Isn't this a bit too hasty?" Yi Qingye instantly understood her father's meaning. Taking advantage of the opportunity to celebrate her grandfather's birthday, she and Chen Yang returned to Kyoto and then told her grandfather that they were getting engaged. But this is too fast. Yi Qingye was not mentally prepared at all. It's better to be lucky than early. It's your grandfather's birthday. He definitely hopes to see you, his precious granddaughter, to celebrate with him. When the time comes, tell him that you're getting ready to become a great-grandfather. I assure you, Dad will be very happy. After all, the older generation values offspring and bloodlines very much. Putting aside the unexpected incident between you and Chen Yang, your grandparents will be overjoyed when they find out you're pregnant. Then you can tell them that you and Chen Yang are getting engaged. I think there shouldn't be any major problems with that. After all, Chen Yang is so outstanding and one of the best among his peers. His parents will definitely like him. Furthermore, they are not the kind of people with stubborn feudalistic ideas who insist on marriage between equals and ask you to represent the Yi family in a political marriage. They love you so much, they'll definitely respect your opinion. When the time comes, you and Chen Yang should act accordingly, and you'll have a sure thing that they'll agree to your engagement." Yi Zhenghua was clearly prepared and offered advice to his daughter. "Dad, thank you for supporting me and Chen Yang being together. Don't worry, no matter how much effort it takes, I will definitely get my grandparents to agree to my engagement with Chen Yang." Yi Qingye opened her arms and hugged Yi Zhenghua tightly, her eyes reddening as she spoke. "My dear daughter, don't worry too much. Chen Yang is so outstanding. He will definitely gain your grandparents' approval. I'm still waiting to come back and drink your engagement party wine." Yi Zhenghua said with a light laugh. "Zioya, your dad is right. There definitely won't be any problems. You should have faith in Chen Yang. If all else fails, have your Chen Yang cook a Manchu Han imperial feast for your grandparents. Mom believes that Grandpa and Grandma will definitely agree to your engagement." Wen Jai gave Yi Qingye a good idea. It is practical, effective, and highly feasible. Yi Qingye saw her parents off at the villa entrance, then got into the van driven by Lin Yuan, watching the car gradually disappear into the distance. "Qingye, don't worry too much. Trust me, I will definitely win your grandparents' approval and put their minds at ease so they can marry you off to me." Chen Yang reached out and put his arm around Yi Qingye's slender waist, letting her lean against him. His tone was full of firmness and confidence as he spoke. "Yes, I believe you can do it." Yi Qingye nodded emphatically. Based on her understanding of her grandparents, they were not the kind of harsh elders. On the contrary, they have great patience with the younger generation in the family and never lose their temper. Chen Yang is so outstanding, and he has a great personality. Even his own parents approve of him, so his grandparents certainly won't have any objections to him either. Chapter 178, Perfect Figure. School beauty, you can't help but act like a hooligan. The following morning, 7:30, as usual, Chen Yang got up, washed up, and went out to exercise. After jogging around the neighborhood, I did not find Mr. Jiang or his granddaughter Jiang Ruwei, so he found a quiet open space. As usual, he began practicing the Bagua swimming dragon palm technique. The system detected that the host is practicing the Bagua Yulong palm and has reached the advanced level, which will greatly enhance the skill and understanding. 8 trigrams swimming dragon palm proficiency plus 500. 8 trigrams swimming dragon palm, advanced level, 501,000. As Chen Yang's physique and vitality improved, the Bagua swimming dragon palm unleashed even greater power under his practice. If Mr. Jiang and his granddaughter Jiang Ruwei were there to see this scene, they would be absolutely stunned. After all, the Bagua swimming dragon palm is a family-inherited martial art of the Jiang family, passed down only to Jiang family members and never to outsiders. The Bagua swimming dragon palm that Chen Yang practiced was clearly from the same lineage as the Jiang family's martial arts, and could even be said to be exactly the same. That's fine. Jiang Ruwei, who had been deeply influenced by Master Jiang since childhood, had practiced Bagua Yulong palm for more than 10 years, but she still could not reach Chen Yang's current level. In comparison, Chen Yang's martial arts talent is clearly inferior to Jiang Ruwei's. Half an hour later, Chen Yang's forehead was covered in sweat, and his back was already soaked through. Seeing that it was getting late, he stopped what he was doing and headed home. Back at the villa, Chen Yang went straight to the master bedroom on the second floor, ready to take a nice hot shower. At this time, Yi Qingye had already gotten up. She watched as Chen Yang took off his sweat-soaked shirt, exposing his perfectly sculpted physique to the air. For a moment, they were completely stunned. Chen Yang, when did you get such a great physique? I had abs and chest muscles before, but the definition wasn't nearly as pronounced as it is now. These muscles look as if they were sculpted with a knife, with sharp angles and full of power. As Yi Qingye spoke, she quietly walked up to Chen Yang. She reached out and stroked his muscular physique, shamelessly taking advantage of him. Chen Yang grinned slightly. Who says only men are lustful these days? When women get carried away with their lewd behavior, they're just as capable of being as unrestrained as men. But, given his relationship with Yi Qingye, Chen Yang didn't mind letting her admire him and have a good slap in his hand. After all, couples sometimes need a little romance to bring them closer and deepen their relationship. Otherwise, if things remain uneventful, the days the two spend together will inevitably become somewhat boring. I've been doing morning exercises regularly and practicing a traditional Chinese martial art. Plus, I've been eating a lot of rich and nutritious food lately, so it's only natural that I've gotten in better shape, right? Chen Yang casually struck a few poses. The biceps and deltoids on his arms were outlined with extremely clear lines, which dazzled Yi Qingye and almost made her drool. Sure enough, a well-built physique exudes masculinity. Moreover, he not only exudes masculinity, but also makes people feel safe. Yi Qingye looked like she was infatuated. Upon seeing this, Chen Yang shook his head helplessly. I'm all sweaty, I'm going to take a shower now. The words were spoken. Before Yi Qingye could react, he grabbed a change of clothes and went into the bathroom. 15 minutes later, Chen Yang arrived at the villa's lobby. Mother Wu Yan had already prepared breakfast. Chen Yang and Yi Qingye sat obediently at the dining table and ate quietly. Dad, Mom, Qingye, and I have booked 2 plane tickets to Kyoto. We'll probably be staying there for a few days. If you two are bored at home, you can go out and wander around. I'll send you the phone number of driver Xiao Lin. Have him pick you up and drop you off the whole way. If anything happens, just call me anytime. Breakfast is finished. Chen Yang looked up at his parents and said to them, All right, you two can go ahead without worry. Your mother and I are adults, we won't get lost. Upon hearing this, Chen Shan smiled and nodded. He knew very well that Chen Yang and Yi Qingye's trip to Kyoto was not only to celebrate old Master Yi's birthday, but more importantly, to get him to agree to their marriage. This matter is extremely important and cannot be delayed at all. Therefore, Chen Shan could not possibly be a burden to them. Yes, I'll bring you both gifts when I get back, Chen Yang said with a smile. Afterwards, Chen Yang and Yi Qingye went back to their room to pack their luggage. Meanwhile, driver Lin Yuan parked his van in front of the villa. Lin Yuan saw Chen Yang pushing a suitcase and immediately ran over, took the suitcase, and put it in the trunk. The rear door opened, and Chen Yang and Yi Qingye got in. "Mr. Lin, please take us to my girlfriend's house to pick up some things first, and then take us to the airport," Chen Yang said to Lin Yuan. "Yes, Mr. Chen," Lin Yuan responded decisively. Yi Qingye then took out her phone and sent a message to her mother, Wen Jai. She said that she and Chen Yang had already left home and were heading home. After picking up the gift for her grandfather, they would head straight to the airport. Wen Jai replied, "Baby, mommy knows. Mommy will be waiting for you at home." Half an hour later, Chen Yang and Yi Qingye arrived at the Yi family home. "Zioya, Chen Yang, you've arrived. This is a birthday gift that your dad and I prepared for the old man. We had originally planned to go back to celebrate the old man's birthday this year, but your father had other work commitments, and I'm also temporarily unable to get away, so you two younger family members will be passing on the message. When you get to Kyoto, remember to give my regards to your grandfather for your father and me." Wen Jai had a kind expression on her face. As soon as he finished speaking, he presented Yi Qingye with an exquisitely packaged gift box. "Mom, what's in here? It looks very valuable." A hint of curiosity flashed in Yi Qingye's beautiful eyes as she asked Wen Jai, "Doesn't your grandfather like calligraphy?" "This is a calligraphy copybook personally written by a master calligrapher that I specially asked someone to buy from an auction house in Hong Kong." Wen Jai smiled and explained, "Grandpa would be so happy if he knew you gave him this gift." Upon hearing this, Yi Qingye's eyes lit up instantly, and she exclaimed with delight, "Chen Yang, once you arrive in Kyoto, if you have time, you can visit Pan Garden. You might get lucky and find some rare antiques." A few years ago, Grandpa Qingye also enjoyed collecting some old objects. "Perhaps we can pick out a nice gift. It shows your thoughtfulness and pleases the old man at the same time, which is a win-win situation." Wen Jai looked at Chen Yang and kindly reminded him out of goodwill. "Thank you, Auntie, I'll remember." Chen Yang nodded with a smile. We chatted for a few minutes, and then it got late. Chen Yang and Yi Qingye said goodbye to Wen Jai, and then got into a van and headed straight for Shanghai Airport. Fortunately, I bought a first-class ticket, so I didn't have to queue for ticket inspection, which greatly shortened the time. After Chen Yang and Yi Qingye took their seats, the airplane cabin door closed shortly afterward. The flight attendant immediately announced over the intercom that the plane was about to take off. A few minutes later, the plane took off onto the runway. Then it began to accelerate continuously, eventually soaring into the sky and disappearing into the clouds. Chapter 179, the flight landed safely, and the security guard personally greeted the passenger. After a 2.5-hour flight, the flight finally landed safely at Kyoto Airport. The hatch opened. First-class passengers were the first to exit the cabin. Chen Yang and Yi Qingye walked hand in hand toward the airport VIP passage. Their luggage was then delivered to the exit by designated staff. As Yi Qingye walked, she took out her phone from her pocket and dialed a number. The phone rang for a few seconds before being answered immediately. "Grandpa, I've arrived in Kyoto. I just got off the plane," Yi Qingye said in a slightly coquettish tone. "My dear granddaughter, you're finally back. Grandpa missed you so much." An old man's voice came from the other end of the phone. Despite his advanced age, he was full of energy. "Your Uncle Tang has already driven over to pick you up. Wait for him at the airport entrance for a while. He'll be there soon. Remember, be careful when you're out and about, and don't get too close to other strange men." Upon hearing this, Yi Qingye nodded obediently. "Okay, Grandpa, I understand." The call ended. Yi Qingye looked at Chen Yang with a strange glint in her eyes. I wonder what Grandpa's expression would be if he knew that I had brought him a grandson-in-law without telling anyone. Are they happy, or are they furious? Surely they wouldn't go so far as to arrest Chen Yang and give him a severe beating. "Why are you looking at me like that?" Chen Yang keenly noticed that Yi Qingye's expression was very strange after she finished the phone call. So he asked Yi Qingye in a soft voice, "My grandfather told me to be careful when I go out and not to talk to strange men easily. He's so worried about me. If I were to take you back right now, I can't even imagine how interesting his expression would be. Chen Yang, you'd better be mentally prepared." Yi Qingye looked amused. "It's obvious that your grandfather loves you very much. Luckily, I'm not a crazy guy. Otherwise, if he knew I got you pregnant, he'd probably break my legs right away." Chen Yang secretly rejoiced. "Don't be afraid, I will plead for you. My grandfather loves me so much. If he knew that we are truly in love, he definitely wouldn't make things difficult for you." Yi Qingye hugged Chen Yang's arm tightly and said with a smile, "It's because he dotes on you. So when he found out I had kidnapped his precious granddaughter, he was even less likely to let me off easily. But it's okay, I believe I can handle it. Chen Yang took a deep breath and silently cheered himself up. As they were talking, the two had already walked out of the VIP passage, where staff members had tidied up their luggage and handed it to them warmly. Welcome to our two distinguished guests on our China Southern Airlines flight, and we hope you have arrived safely at your destination. These are the luggage of our two VIP guests. Please check that all items are complete. If you require a private car, China Southern Airlines Group can arrange it for you two VIPs immediately. The staff member spoke with enthusiasm and respect. Thanks, but we already have someone to pick us up, so there's no need to trouble you. Chen Yang smiled and nodded, politely declining the other party's offer. Then I wish you two distinguished guests a pleasant journey. The staff member bowed slightly. After saying that, he turned and left. Chen Yang and Yi Qingye pushed their suitcases and soon arrived at the airport passage. They had barely stopped when they saw two black minivans slowly pull up not far from them. The car door opened. A middle-aged man was the first to get out of the car. Then, several young men in black uniforms got out of another car. The group quickly moved closer together, forming a professional formation. Immediately afterwards, he strode towards where Chen Yang and Yi Qingye were. Miss, the old master instructed me to bring people to pick you up. The middle-aged man at the head of the group was named Tang Long, and he had been a bodyguard who had followed old Master Yi for many years. He was originally a top soldier in the Special Operations Forces. After being seconded to the military region, he went through layers of selection with thousands of elite soldiers before standing out and obtaining the qualification to serve as a bodyguard for the leaders. Their strength, background, and character are absolutely reliable. He stayed by Grandpa Yi's side for more than a decade. It can be said that he personally watched many of the younger generation of the Yi family grow up. Yi Qingye was no exception. Tang Long had a square face, dark skin, thick eyebrows, big eyes, and a burly, robust build. The young men behind him were also from Special Operations Forces, the elite of the elite. Under their protection, safety is absolutely guaranteed. It's clear how much old Master Yi dotes on his granddaughter, Yi Qingye. Otherwise, he would never have sent such elite guards to personally pick her up at the airport. Uncle Tang, it's been a long time. I just finished talking to my grandpa on the phone. He told you to come pick me up. Yi Qingye smiled slightly and took the initiative to greet Tang Long. Miss, who is this? Tang Long noticed Chen Yang's presence. He narrowed his eyes slightly and subconsciously scrutinized him. The handsome young man in front of me was full of energy and had prominent temples. He looked like someone who knew martial arts. Moreover, their strength is clearly not low. Tang Long's muscles tensed instantly, as if he were about to enter battle mode. Uncle Tang, let me introduce you. He's my boyfriend. His name is Chen Yang. He's studying at Shanghai University with me, but he's studying finance. Yi Qingye noticed that Tang Long looked wary. He was afraid that Chen Yang would be treated as an outsider, and that this would cause harm to Chen Yang. So he immediately spoke up to explain. Miss, do your parents know that you have a boyfriend? Logically speaking, given Tang Long's status, he has no right to interfere in Yi Qingye's private affairs. However, Yi Qingye has a noble status, and Tang Long, as old Master Yi's personal bodyguard, holds a special position in the Yi family. Therefore, to avoid causing trouble, Tang Long still gritted his teeth and asked Yi Qingye. Certainly, I have already introduced Chen Yang to my parents. I brought him back to Kyoto this time so that his grandparents could meet him. Uncle Tang, don't worry, I know what I'm doing. Yi Qingye clearly guessed Tang Long's worries. After a brief chuckle, he explained again. Yes, as long as Miss knows her limits. It's getting late, let's get in the car first. The old man is still waiting for Miss to come home. After listening, Tang Long asked no further questions. Yi Qingye bowed slightly before speaking. Good. Yi Qingye readily agreed. The guard stepped forward, took the luggage from Yi Qingye and Chen Yang, and put it into the trunk. The group got into the car and then drove onto the national highway, disappearing into the traffic. An hour later, the van arrived at the Kyoto compound. Several guards stood at the entrance, dressed in camouflage uniforms and carrying real guns and ammunition. The car was only allowed to leave after a rigorous inspection. After driving for another 10 minutes or so, we finally stopped in front of a courtyard with red bricks and white tiles. This is the Yi family mansion in Kyoto. It symbolizes supreme power and status. It is also where Yi Qingye's grandparents live. Chapter 180, The Pillar of the Yi Family, Red Meritorious Service, Yi Aiguo. After getting out of the car, Chen Yang and Yi Qingye pushed their suitcases, carried their gifts, and walked into the Yi family compound. Yi Qingye grew up here, so everything in front of her felt strangely familiar to her. Chen Yang, however, sensed a sense of solemnity and reverence. Don't be fooled by the fact that this is just a red brick and white tile house with a sense of history. But in Kyoto, it's not a place that just anyone is qualified to set foot in. The people living in this house are all extraordinary individuals. They are above countless powerful and wealthy people. It is possible that a single sentence could determine the fate of those so-called Kyoto elite families. This is power and the enormous influence it generates. It is something that countless powerful and famous people pursue throughout their lives. Walking on the cobblestone path, I passed a small vegetable garden. After going around in circles, we finally entered the Yi family's main hall. Grandpa, Grandma, I'm back. After entering the room, Yi Qingye put her suitcase aside and then walked towards the living room. An elderly man, dressed in a military green tang suit, with graying temples and a dignified air, sat on an antique wooden chair. His eyes were bright and piercing. The old man was Yi Aiguo, the pillar of the Yi family and its stabilizing force. Zioya, Grandpa's here. Grandpa Yi looked at Yi Qingye, and a kind smile immediately appeared on his face. Grandpa, you look much better than before. It seems that even while I wasn't by your side, you were eating well and taking good care of your health. Yi Qingye walked up to old Master Yi, took his aged hand, and carefully looked him over. After a moment he smiled and said, "Yes, I've been sleeping very well lately, and I'm eating well too. My health is indeed much better than before. I thought your parents would be able to come back this year, and the house would be much more lively. But I didn't expect that they couldn't get away because of work, which is really a pity." Grandpa Yi sighed and said helplessly, "Grandpa, you know what my parents do. Throughout the year, the number of days you can rest is very limited. Let alone you, even I, their own daughter who lives in the same city as them, might not be able to get them to spend a whole day with me. I'm already used to this situation, but it's all right. Since they can't come back, I'll come back to celebrate your birthday with you. Not only that, I've also brought someone with me this time, and I'd like you to meet them." As soon as Yi Qingye finished speaking, before old Master Yi could ask any questions, he waved to Chen Yang, signaling him to come over quickly. Seeing this, Chen Yang strode over to old Master Yi and Yi Qingye. At this time, old Master Yi's eyes darkened, and he clearly had some guesses about Chen Yang's identity. His gaze lingered on Chen Yang, scrutinizing him carefully. After a moment, she slowly asked, "Zioya, who is this?" "Grandpa, his name is Chen Yang, a senior majoring in finance at Shanghai University. He also has another identity. He is my boyfriend." Yi Qingye felt a little uneasy under her grandfather's gaze. However, since things had come to this point, she still mustered up her courage and formally introduced Chen Yang's identity to her grandfather. "Zioya, do you mean you're dating someone in college? And this guy in front of you is your boyfriend?" Grandpa Yi's voice was low and unreadable, but it made Chen Yang and Yi Qingye feel a sudden tightness in their chests. "Yes, Grandpa." Yi Qingye nodded reluctantly. Soon, she felt the powerful aura emanating from her grandfather, so much so that she lowered her head, unable to meet her grandfather's gaze. Chen Yang remained composed and calm at this moment, neither humble nor arrogant. He could certainly feel that old Master Yi was scrutinizing him. If it were him before, he would definitely be terrified and break out in a cold sweat. After all, old Master Yi had experienced the tempering of life and death battles, and his brows unconsciously exuded an aura of iron-blooded power. Anyone with a little courage might be scared into trembling. However, Chen Yang's state of mind was greatly improved after obtaining the system. Even when facing a powerful and distinguished figure like old Master Yi, he remained fearless, simply because he has absolute confidence in his own abilities. When a person possesses absolute power, any so-called authority, status, or prestige becomes meaningless in their eyes. Given time to grow, he himself will become an asset and may even become incredibly wealthy. Under these circumstances, Chen Yang naturally felt no fear towards anyone. But then again, he felt deep respect for a revolutionary hero like Mr. Yi. They say the eyes are the windows to the soul. Old Master Yi could naturally discern Chen Yang's inner thoughts through his eyes. After a long pause, old Master Yi smiled, a particularly bright smile on his face, and said with a hint of appreciation in his tone, "Young man, you're very good. You are the only male classmate who can be brought to my granddaughter's home as a guest. Just based on this point alone, You are far superior to those young talents and noble sons in the capital." Upon hearing this, Chen Yang smiled faintly. "Mr. Yi, you flatter me. Qingya and I were classmates at the same school, and we came together by fate. When I learned her identity, my first reaction was fear, anxiety, and trepidation. I know that a princess like her, who comes from a noble family and has an extraordinary family background, is not someone that ordinary people are qualified to associate with. But, please forgive my arrogance, but I believe I am fully qualified to be with Qingya and have the ability to bring her happiness." It was precisely because I was so determined that I officially confirmed my relationship with Qingya and gradually got to where I am today. Chen Yang's answer and his performance. It was completely beyond Mr. Yi's expectations. He has weathered countless storms and met countless people. But to be honest, at this moment, he really couldn't see through Chen Yang. This guy is young, but his eyes are as sharp as a hawk's, which shows that he is very ambitious, speaking with neither arrogance nor servility, neither haughtiness nor impatience, signifies that the person has sufficient confidence in their own abilities. Knowing full well that his status was incredibly high, he could still act with nonchalance, which shows that he has a broad vision and believes that he can reach that level someday. Compare this to the so-called young talents and outstanding scions of noble families in Beijing's elite circles. The light emanating from Chen Yang was simply too dazzling. From this perspective, Chen Yang is definitely the most courageous and spirited young man that Grandpa Yi has ever encountered. Whether Chen Yang is truly capable or not, Old Master Yi has no idea for the time being. But this sharp and indomitable spirit made Old Master Yi look at him with new respect. Chapter 181 Ambition knows no age. 100 years is wasted on those without ambition, conversation, and game. Old Master Yi's gaze remained fixed on Chen Yang. After a long silence, he finally spoke slowly. "Quite the boast. Do you know just how much influence our Yi family wields in Kyoto? What gives you the audacity to utter such arrogant words in front of me, you greenhorn?" Faced with his grandfather's questioning, Yi Qingya, standing to the side, clearly felt the air become heavier, and for a moment she didn't dare to breathe. She clenched her fists and looked at Chen Yang with trepidation. Chen Yang noticed Yi Qingya's gaze, pursed his lips, and gave a faint smile, indicating that she should relax. Then he met Old Master Yi's gaze and said in a calm and unhurried tone, with a firm and resounding voice, "Elder Yi, I know that the Yi family is one of the most powerful and influential families in Kyoto, at the very top of the pyramid. They wield influence in the military, political, and business circles that is beyond the imagination of ordinary people. It is no exaggeration to say that a single word from the Yi family can cause a violent upheaval in all walks of life. But precisely because the Yi family is at its zenith and prosperous, hidden behind this glamorous facade lies unimaginable danger. As the saying goes, no one is good for 1,000 days, and no flower blooms for 100 days. Wealth and honor passed down through generations last no more than 3. Mr. Yi, you and Uncle Yi are both outstanding. The Yi family is incredibly glorious under your leadership. But you will grow old, and the era that belongs to you will eventually be swallowed up by the tide of the new era. I dare not say that I am the best among my peers, but I can assure you with my heart that with my abilities, as long as I have time to grow, I will definitely become someone the Yi family can rely on in the future. In this way, even if the Yi family's descendants fail to inherit your mantle in the future, I can still protect the Yi family and ensure that the Yi family stands firm in the capital. I can even lend a hand to the Yi family if they want to return to their peak. This is one of the main reasons why I believe I am worthy of Qingya and qualified to become the Yi family's son-in-law." These words were spoken. Grandpa Yi's eyes were deep with emotion, but he was deeply shocked. What Chen Yang said was precisely the key point he had been pondering for a long time. Grandpa Yi has 3 sons and 1 daughter. The eldest son, Yi Zhenghua, went into politics. The second son, Yi Zhanshan, joined the army. The third son, Yi Xingsheng, went into business. And the youngest daughter, Yi Jiao, married into the Yang family and became their daughter-in-law. However, there are only 6 grandchildren. Each of the 3 sons had only 2 children, with half being boys and half girls. Among them, Yi Zhenghua's eldest son, Yi Minghui, chose to join the army, while Yi Zhanshan's youngest son just graduated from Tsinghua and Peking universities this year and is about to enter politics. Yi Xingsheng's son was admitted to Handong University of Political Science and Law this year and will also embark on a career in politics in the future. As for the granddaughter, she will get married sooner or later, and once she gets married, the Yi family will definitely not invest too much resources in her. In other words, the future of the Yi family will rest on these grandsons. If they can grow up and become capable of standing on their own, then the Yi family will surely continue to shine in the future. If they fail to grow and develop, they can only rely on the political resources left by their parents, making it difficult to advance further. But as the old saying goes, if you don't row against the current, you'll drift backward. Especially in power struggles. If you are not strong, you will naturally become a target for bullying. If things go too far, they may even take away the rights and positions that originally belonged to you. No one can remain unaffected. In Beijing's elite circles, there are many once glorious families that, due to the incompetence of their descendants, can only watch helplessly as their families decline step by step, becoming stepping stones for newly powerful families to rise to power. Throughout history, the changing of power has often been accompanied by the rise and fall of new and old noble families. This is a rule that everyone in the industry has already tacitly agreed upon. Therefore, Chen Yang's words resonated perfectly with Old Master Yi. It seems you are very confident in your own abilities. Old Master Yi's eyes flickered as he smiled at Chen Yang. Ambition knows no age. Without ambition, 100 years is wasted. Elder Yi, I consider myself to be quite capable, but I'm also afraid of standing out and getting caught. Therefore, I currently need the protection and assistance of the Yi family. Of course, I will also do my best to give back to the Yi family. Although I can only offer minimal assistance to the Yi family at present, I firmly believe that given a few years, I will definitely earn everyone's respect. Chen Yang was neither humble nor arrogant. He knew in his heart that this was not simply a test from Old Master Yi, but also a way to pave a path to success for himself. If he succeeds, he can leverage the Yi family's resources and connections to grow rapidly. If he fails, he might leave an impression of being blindly arrogant and impetuous in Old Master Yi's mind. In severe cases, it could even affect his marriage with Yi Qingye. But such opportunities are rare. Regardless of whether he succeeds or not, Chen Yang felt it was necessary to have a proper talk with Grandpa Yi. He wanted to show Grandpa Yi his value and the returns on his investment. On the side, Yi Qingye finally couldn't hold back any longer and took the initiative to speak up for Chen Yang. Grandpa, Chen Yang is very outstanding. Even my parents acknowledge his abilities. I think you should give him a chance to prove himself. Upon hearing this, Old Master Yi smiled, his smile quite evident. All right, since my dear granddaughter has taken the initiative to plead for you, I won't make things difficult for you. Chen Yang, do you know how to play chess? Grandpa Yi looked at Chen Yang and asked softly. Chen Yang was taken aback, wondering what Old Master Yi was up to. However, she still nodded subconsciously and replied, I know a little bit. Chess allows for the arrangement of pieces and the application of military strategies. It may seem simple, but it best reflects a person's logical thinking and strategic planning. Let's play a few rounds first so I can see your skills, and then I'll think of a way to test you. Old Master Yi spoke with a calm expression. I will follow Elder Yi's instructions in everything. Chen Yang nodded in agreement without hesitation. He hadn't forgotten that he had specifically improved his chess skills to please Yi Zhenghua. At the beginner level, he might not be a match for Grandpa Yi, but at least they were able to hold out for a few rounds. Once he masters the skill, he might not be able to turn the tide and achieve a comeback. With this in mind, Chen Yang readily agreed to Grandpa Yi's suggestion. Not long after, Yi Qingye then brought out the chess set and chessboard and placed them on the guest table. Grandpa Yi and Chen Yang sat facing each other. A moment later, Old Master Yi generously said to Chen Yang, Chen Yang, you go first. Mr. Yi, then I won't stand on ceremony. Chen Yang nodded. The player with the red pieces moves first. Host detected playing chess, proficiency plus 100. Chess beginner, 30-105-000. A virtual light screen instantly appeared before Chen Yang's eyes, recording his chess skills and proficiency in detail. At the same time, the system's prompt voice rang in my ears. In response to this, Chen Yang didn't pay much attention. His attention was now entirely focused on the chessboard. After all, this game of chess is related to his future development and Yi Qingye's marriage, so he must go all out and dare not take it lightly. Chapter 182 Chess Game. Advanced chess skills feigning weakness, a stunning reversal. Chen Yang's first move was a pawn crossing the river. A fairly standard start. Grandpa Yi smiled and then began to respond. After about 7 or 8 exchanges, the two had gone back and forth. Chen Yang's plan was almost complete, and he began to launch the first offensive. However, Grandpa Yi had anticipated this, and his defense was extremely tight. After more than a dozen rounds, Chen Yang gradually found himself in a stalemate. The reason was that Grandpa Yi was steady and methodical, defending the position tightly, making it impossible for Chen Yang to find a breakthrough for a while. Seeing this, Chen Yang had no choice but to bite the bullet and launch another fierce attack. They decisively captured Old Master Yi's pieces, further threatening the enemy's generals. However, experience still matters. Old Master Yi had already seen through Chen Yang's actions. He reversed his horse and directly captured the opponent's pawn that had crossed the river, nipping the threat in the bud. Chen Yang, not to be outdone, used his flat cannon to snipe at Ma. Grandpa Yi fought and retreated calmly and unhurriedly. The two sides fought fiercely for nearly 10 minutes, and most of the pieces on the board had been captured. It appears that the two sides are evenly matched, but only Chen Yang knew that Old Master Yi's strategic deployment